ghost writer. You know what I'm saying? I just want to speak on that for a second. Somebody said yesterday on a live stream that they couldn't see themselves calling a grown man ghost. That's so funny. Well, if you know my personal name, man, you could call me by my first name, by my government name, if you know it. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why they call me Ghost is short for Ghost Writer, because I ghostwrite legal cases. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do, man. I've done 3 or 4, I believe 4. I've ghostwrote 4 legal cases in my 4-year career. I ghostwrote $1 million case. I just did one for almost $800,000, and I got a $40,000 guaranteed payout on that. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, man, like that's why they call me Ghost, man. It's Ghostwriter. You know what I'm saying? I own a business, a Miller Rate Legal LLC. It's a legal documents company, but I've been blessed to be able to be a lead litigator now on my 40th case. I'm working on writing it. I haven't filed it yet, but we're looking at my 40th case, man. As a lead litigator, it's unbelievable, man. And I've been blessed to win in the U.S. Court of Appeals. I've been blessed to win over 75, almost 80% of my cases as a paralegal with no law license. You know what I'm saying? Never been trained by an attorney, doing this pro se, doing this freelance, winning over 80 or over percent of my cases against some of the best attorneys in the world. So it's been an unbelievable journey for myself to start off as a paralegal. After I won in the U.S. Court of Appeals, I said, hey, man, I got to tell the story. How many people know someone who don't have a law license who won in a court that only 8% of attorneys win in? It's astounding to me. You know what I'm saying? So ever since then, I hit the ground running. September will mark 2 years since we started Legal Wars Live. When I started Legal Wars Live, I started supporting VP Harris for president. You know what I'm saying? Among the reasons why I supported VP Harris for president, me personally, I studied political science at the University of Southern Mississippi, okay? So you guys will understand. Y'all know I told y'all that I was a freelance paralegal, one in the U.S. Court of Appeals, so you understand my background in law as a litigator. And I studied political science at the University of Southern Mississippi, although my I would say experience, not my knowledge, my experience in, you know what I'm saying, politics isn't as extensive as it is in the law. But that being said, though, man, I started off 2 years ago. We need to do something for 2-year anniversary of this live stream, supporting Kamala Harris for president. Not because I had Trump derangement syndrome, as Republicans like to say. Not because I'm even a Democrat or a progressive. You see what I'm saying? I'm not a Republican. The reason why I started off supporting Kamala Harris for president, because I looked at the world. And I understood President Trump was a businessman. I seen how President Trump handled COVID. And you guys could go back and watch the previous live streams. I just thought that in the world, Asia is on fire. Asia was on fire. Asia's still on fire. We have a changing of the guard, or I would say good morning, Mitten State Media. As you guys come in, I ask that y'all please double tap the screen for me, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all hit that notification bell. I would say not necessarily a changing of the guard, but an attempted changing of the guard as far as the powers on the world stage. You know what I'm saying? We've seen Russia attempt to exert itself as a power after Putin gave that infamous speech after the United States attacked, or invaded, I should say, Iraq, you know? And then we see China rising, having the third most nuclear weapons in the world. You know what I'm saying? We see China rising, having the largest industrial complex, their economy being ranked number 2 in the world. So with that stuff going on in America, I'm saying I've seen President Trump. I realized, I understood, and I recognized that this was a very crucial time in U.S. history. And I understood that President Trump was a businessman. He was real good at business. But how we saw how he handled COVID. When it comes to the political side of things, he might not be as good, or I should say, he doesn't have the experience. You see what I'm saying? To handle political issues, to handle hard, complex political issues, and I understood that. But nonetheless, guys, let's just break it down on what I view how the Republicans got to this situation. And then we're going to talk about Gina Hinojosa, who is a young upstart state representative in the state of Texas, of all states, who is pressing Governor Abbott right now, man. It's unbelievable. So, man, look, I'm going to start with this. I always do this, man, because I believe Charlie Kirk was instrumental to building what the Republicans have built right now. Charlie Kirk, man, what happens is he's out there and he's with his what's Charlie Kirk's thing? I almost said "Pa Save America," man. I'm up here tripping this morning. Charlie Kirk starts his organization, and Charlie Kirk's organization, what they do is they're going out there and they're registering young people to turn Republican, to vote Republican. Charlie Kirk is going from campus to campus to campus. Turning Point USA, thank you guys so much for that. Mitten State Media. Charlie Kirk is going from campus to campus to campus. And he's telling people that, hey, the Republicans are actually the better party. The Democrats are actually crazy and they're messing up America. And he's got an open platform where he's debating people. Listen, I heard a congressman say that he saw a bigger jump in the polls from going to a Turning Point USA rally than going to a Make America Great Again rally. I post this on everything I love. Y'all saw when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, how many thousands of people were out there in Utah State. He was finna go on a tour. Yeah, Charlie Kirk going on a tour all over America, turning these young people to Republicans. A lot of people believe that he was very instrumental in President Trump getting elected the first time. And most people believe that he is the reason President Trump got elected the second time. He's President Trump's biggest advisor that wasn't a part of his cabinet. He picked the majority of President Trump's cabinet. The only reason why Charlie Kirk wasn't part of President Trump's cabinet because he had Turning Point USA, and what he was doing for the Republican Party was just bigger and more important than President Trump. I know if you're a Republican and you hear me say that this morning, it's hard for you to believe that, but that's facts. What Charlie Kirk was doing with the Republican Party was bigger than what was happening with President Trump. And so Charlie Kirk's going out there, and Charlie Kirk, he's converting Republicans, he's converting young people to turn to Republicans, you know? And that's the big problem that the Democrats were having. I believe that's instrumental in President Trump's wins. But what I want to say is the Republican Party, in their larger strategy, they looked at the state of Texas. And in 2028, they decided to have the Republican National Convention in the state of Texas. It makes a lot of sense. Why not? Texas is the second largest economy in the United States behind the state of California. And Texas is top 10 in the entire world in economies. Texas got a top 10 economy in the entire world, man, doing really good. Texas has a surplus in their economy, and it's a Republican state. You know what I'm saying? Greg Abbott, what we finna talk about this morning, the governor, he's running for his 4th term, you know? But the thing about Texas is Texas has the largest population of black voters in the entire United States. And Texas, what a lot of people don't realize is, because President Trump won Texas by 14 points, what a lot of people don't realize is Texas is largely a majority state, meaning that Hispanics, blacks, and Asians together make up over 57% of Texas's population. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the Republicans, they said, hey, we're going to have our Republican National Convention in Texas, because the Republicans in the back of their mind, thank you for the donation, if the Republicans in the back of their mind, they can see that the state of Texas potentially Potentially. Listen, if I ask you guys what was the city of Miami, who is the city of Miami Republican primarily, or the city of Miami Democratic? If you think about all the Hispanics in the city of Miami, you would tell me that, man, Miami is a Democratic city. But you would be wrong. Because the Cuban influence in Miami the Republican Party has had a stronghold on the Miami mayorship for 30 years until 2025. In 2025, the city of Miami elected a Democratic and a female mayor for the first time in 3 decades. So I wouldn't say Texas is about the same, because the problem is a large majority of the black voters in Texas aren't voting. We'll speak about that. That's what a problem is to why a Democrat can't win. We'll speak about that in a second. But I want to look at the larger strategy of the Republican Party, to where the Republican Party said, hey, we gonna pick the state of Texas. Out of all 50 states, we believe Texas is the most important state, because we gonna pick the state of Texas to hold our Republican National Convention. That's where all things Republican in the next presidential election is gonna be coming from Houston, Texas. Don't you think the Republicans seen the handwriting on the wall? Do you think it's possible? Because I'm gonna tell you something. If the Republicans can't hold Texas, it's a wrap for them. It's over with. They don't have a map. You know how we have Michigan? Well, if you guys don't know, let me just go ahead and tell you. Usually, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania together, that's called the blue wall. The Democrats call that blue wall. You know why? Because they decide the president, those 3 states, okay? So, if they're swing states, they're called purple states. A lot of you guys don't understand this, that the majority of Americans are actually independents, but you don't understand the concept that in one state, that state could vote for President Trump and or President Biden, and President Trump and or President Obama. But that's exactly what happened. In Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, together, they voted and elected President Obama as president. Together, they voted and elected President Trump as president. And together, they voted and elected President Biden, and then President Trump again. We thinking that those 3 states decide elections. But if I had an electoral college map to put up, without the state of Texas, those 3 states are meaningless. You know how California is a check in the Democratic column on the national elections. You know how New York is a check for the Democrats. Illinois is a check for the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at the rest of the states. Oregon is a check for the Democrats. Washington is a check for the Democrats. Am I right or I'm wrong? Y'all correct me when y'all catch me wrong. Massachusetts, that's a check for the Democrats. I'm saying, let me think of this map in my mind. I don't want to lose no states. I know up here in New England, Connecticut, you a check for the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Vermont generally is a check for the Democrats. Delaware generally, you look at Maryland, Virginia start getting kind of iffy, and then when you get in the South, it usually go towards the Republicans. But what I'm trying to tell you is the Republicans cannot afford to have Texas as a check for the Democrats. Texas is a check for the Democrats, meaning that it's basically over with. The Democrats will win every election. The Republicans don't have a pathway without the state of Texas. Texas is very important. So it makes sense to me. Y'all remember President Trump made that comment, if y'all go out and vote for me this time, you will never have to vote again. Y'all remember? How many of y'all remember President Trump making that comment? So President Trump is basically saying that he got some kind of scheme to assure or ensure that the Republicans are still in play, because he understands how important Texas is. That being said, I'm saying the greater Republican strategy, that's what we're talking about. We looked at a period that President Trump won a surprise election when the people actually voted for Hillary Clinton. He run a straight in the electoral college. I ain't hating on that. Joe Biden wins, and then President Trump to come back and win again. The Republicans were out registering Democrats. The Republican National Convention was working hard. Charlie Kirk was working hard. And then President Trump gets elected. And so that's where we're going to start from right now. President Trump gets elected. We're going to start cooking from here. And so anybody else who comes into the live stream, they need to understand that I started the live stream the first 15 minutes. It's a reason I'm going to tie this in, trying to explain to you the greater Republican strategy. It got to make sense to me. It has to make sense. What's their strategy? This is a strategy session. You were strategizing with Ghostwriter this morning, man. If you guys have not liked the video, I ask that y'all double tap the screen for me, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure y'all hit that notification bell. But most importantly, Republicans, Independents, and Democrats, I'm asking that all you guys right now will jump down in the comment section and y'all let y'all voices be heard. Y'all join the conversation, man. You know what I'm saying? Up here on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. We finna get to cooking, man. The greater Republican strategy prior to President Trump getting elected. Prior to President Trump getting elected, we got where y'all at where y'all get where we at. Now, President Trump in 2024, he gets elected. We talked about this a million times. The reason why we believe President Trump, the reason why I say we know President Trump got elected was due to the economy. So he becomes president. I'm saying, at what point does the Republican Party, at what point does Charlie Kirk unplug from President Trump and his governance? That's my point. Because that's when the problems start. At what point? We know Charlie Kirk was a loud voice for the Republicans to try to protect. Listen, what I'm saying is President Trump is a politician, not really, right? Am I right or wrong? He's a businessman. Like, he ran the election, he'll tell you himself if he's being honest. The first time he ran was to enhance his business. He didn't think he was going to win. So once he won, then he wants to become president again. Naturally, he gets obsessed with power. Or he wants to fix some problems, whatever you call it, right? So his background in TV show, he's a showman, he's president, right? He's governing. The Democrats win, and then he wins again. I'm saying, at what point somebody within the Republican Party and the greater Republican strategy should have been plugged in with President Trump? It might have been Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is dead. The greater Republican strategy, it might have been Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is dead. Now President Trump, he out here like the Wild Wild West. He a wild man. It's like he not plugged into the Republican Party. The only protection from the Republican Party that's there, that has a future, is Marco and J.D. Vance. And he look at them like they're subordinates. He picked them. He chose them. So I'm saying, who is President Trump listening to that is concerned about the greater survival of the Republican Party? You guys got to realize, you guys got to know, and you guys got to understand that before 2024, regardless of what you think happened in 2020, the last time the Republicans won a popular vote was in 2004. That was 20 years ago. That was the very last time they won a popular vote before President Trump did it. And a lot of voters that went and voted for President Trump are low propensity voters, first-time voters. He won a lot of segment. He built a coalition. I'm not hating on him. They built that coalition. But I'm saying, from the coalition that he built when he starts governing, who's thinking about the future of the Republican Party with the things he's saying and doing? It's like they got a different strategy. Their strategy is, we gonna go out there and defend this ridiculous stuff he's saying and doing. It's like ain't nobody in the Republican Party has the courage to go have a sit down with President Trump like, hey man, come here, bro. Let me talk to you for a second. Let me tell you what's really going on. I think Byron Donald, who's running for governor in Florida, who President Trump would have picked as his vice president if he wouldn't have picked J.D. Vance, I think he would be, but he's got a political future. He's trying to be governor. And it's like, if you go talk to President Trump like that, you already know what's going to happen to you. That's why Paxton is running for senator in the state of Texas instead of John Cronin. That's why Paxton is. And I'm saying President Trump, he know this. He seen this. He saw the handwriting on the wall. Ghost was one of the first ones, if not the only one, to get on here and loud cap how Al Green was in U.S. Congress. We talking about this was in April of 2025. President Trump ain't been president for 6 months. Al Green was on the U.S. Congress on the presidential floor with whole graphs. He running charts on how they go impeach President Trump, and President Trump wasn't even president good for 6 months. A congressman from the state of Texas. And I was seeing it, and I understood it. So what I said is, in my mind, a strategy, if I was talking to President Trump and helping him run his Make America Great or whatever he was doing, Project 2025, I would have put a Bill Clinton twist on it. You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all remember the video I said President Trump to call Hakeem? Hakeem Jeffries came out and he said that the Democrats are willing and ready to work with the Republicans to address affordability. But he said his Republican counterparts weren't willing to work with him. So in my strategy is, if it's a lot of people who got Trump derangement syndrome or they just hating on you, well, my strategy is, what you need to do is you need to put an olive branch across the aisle. A lot of y'all don't remember that, but President Trump tried that in his first term. He brought the Democrats to the White House. How many of y'all remember that? Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. He probably think it don't work. But this is what you don't understand. It's not about what you didn't think, what you think, and I don't care if it didn't work the first time. That's your job. That's your job. You cannot govern a nation with 48% of the support of the people. And not only 48%, it's much less than 48% because he got 48% of voters. There's a lot of people who don't vote, who don't like Republicans or Democrats, and a lot more who don't vote who can't stand him. So you talking about 340 million people. For the ones who 18 years and over, only 170 million people voted, but there's a lot more people eligible to vote. You cannot govern a country with less than 48% of the support from the people. It's impossible. I'm saying, in order for you to properly govern this country, if you're a Republican, you're going to have to do some sort of business with a Democrat. That's common sense. Common sense ain't that common. You got to learn how to swallow your pride and your ego. It don't matter what. Listen, if the number one thing I want to do is be great, then I don't care about not liking this person. If I got to work with this person to be great, then I'm going to do it. You can't do it with just Republicans. You can't do it by yourself. The country's too big. You don't have the support to do it with just Republicans or by yourself, thinking that you can. That's great to have those kind of goals and those kind of visions, but it's impossible. And I understood that. So President Trump, he starts seeing and getting the picture. He's starting to get the picture. Somewhere around, I would say, the end of, probably last fall, he started preparing and seeing the pictures. The midterms are a year away. And we always know the midterms are going to be a referendum on how that president is governing. We know that. President Trump knew that. President Trump understood that. So you know what he do? Instead of governing in a way that the people, instead of governing in a way for the people, what President Trump does is he picks up the phone, and we get into it right now. He calls Governor Greg Abbott down in the state of Texas. And he tell Governor Abbott, he said, hey, Governor Abbott, you going to draw out 5 seats for me? And what Governor Abbott should have told him is, no, President Trump, I can't do that. But you know how that works. Governor Abbott, he got an election that we finna talk about right now. Governor Abbott said, yeah, President Trump, I'll do that. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene, just like the rest of them, I don't know how much your loyalty is worth to President Trump. We'll talk about that in a second. So Governor Abbott, he drew out 5 seats for the Republican Party. Y'all see that it didn't help him, though. Because Governor Newsom in California, he did the same thing. So it didn't help him. But that's how it started, though. That's how President Trump, he trying to get around what's coming this November, because he know it's coming. Because the people who are the boss are going to have an opportunity to tell you how they feel about the way you have been doing your job. Forget a job approval number. The biggest job approval test or what have you, to where we could tell if the American people are satisfied with the way he's governed, is the midterm elections. That's when we gonna really know. The result of the midterm elections is going to tell us if the American people are satisfied with that. And that being said, we get into it, man. We jumping straight to the state of Texas, 25 minutes in. Okay? So first, let's look at the Texas Senate seat and see what's going on. And then we'll look at the Texas governor's race, because I think they're connected. In that Senate race in the state of Texas, you guys know on this live stream, we supported Jasmine Crockett as the nominee for Senate against James Tellerico. Unfortunately, enough black and Hispanics, well, I wouldn't say Hispanics necessarily, but not enough black voters voted for Jasmine. We saw historic numbers, however, in which the Democrats had 2 million voters turn out in the Democratic primary in Texas. The Democrats, they outvoted the Republicans. It was astounding. They did a great job, a really good job. And then on top of that, James Tellerico, after he wins, and Gina Hinojosa wins that Democratic nomination for governor, it looks like they try to unify a little bit. And they start running their campaign for the Republican side. And remember, we focusing on the Republican side. We're going to talk about the Iran war. We're going to talk about the economy. We're going to put all of that in the mix in just a second. But if we focus on the Republican side, President Trump decided to interject prematurely, in my opinion, in the Republicans had a runoff for senator. And it was between the sitting senator, John Cronin, and Ken Paxton. Now, Ken Paxton, man, he got some corruption stuff on him. He was accused of having sexual relations or having sexual improprieties and cheating on his wife. But President Trump, I'm saying, think about President Trump. You saying that this congressperson isn't sufficient because they cheating on their wife. I'm saying that doesn't really register for President Trump, right? He decided to support Ken Paxton anyway. So Ken Paxton becomes the Republican nominee. You know what I'm saying? If you guys know John Cronin in Texas, he got a lot of respect. He's been a senator in the state of Texas for over a decade. You know what I'm saying? He's if I'm not mistaken, he's been longer than Ted Cruz. He's the senior senator for Texas. And Ted Cruz is the junior senator. And I'm saying, like, he had a lot of support in the Senate. He have a lot of support in the Republican Party. President Trump, he didn't care about none of that. In President Trump's mind, John Cronin didn't side with him as much. He wasn't MAGA enough. He wasn't conservative enough. He questioned President Trump too much. So President Trump decided to put his finger on the scale. You know, President Trump won by Texas 14 points. So at least in the Republican Party, President Trump still dominating king. And so he said he wanted Ken Paxton to win. Look, in my opinion, I'm going to just be honest with y'all, and we might get to something in a second. I believe if you ask Governor Greg Abbott, he wanted John Cronin to win. I just believe that over Ken Paxton. Because he believed, and not just believed, that he know that John Cronin had the best chance to win. Governor Abbott, usually a governor would be on the top of the ballot, but Governor Abbott is down ballot. Governor Abbott is down ballot. Governor Abbott is down ballot in this race. On the top of the ballot for U.S. Senate in the state of Texas is Ken Paxton and James Tellerico. President Trump, he don't know politics. He don't understand politics. He trying to run this like a business. He don't understand when you push away John Cronin, you pushing away not only a Republican, you pushing away a Republican who got a good name. That's important. You pushing away a Republican that's viewed as a common sense, middle of the road Republican in the state of Texas. It don't matter if John Cronin is old. Yes, he is old, but if you trying to win and you looking at the map and you understanding certain things, all the polls and indicators was telling you that Ken Paxton wouldn't be even Jasmine Crockett. And Ken Paxton definitely ain't gonna beat James Tellerico for Senate. You gotta understand this is a seat that the Republicans has held for 30 years plus. The Democrats for 30 years plus have not won a statewide race in the state of Texas. Not only is President Trump governing in a way that is incredibly hard for any Republican in any climate, we're going to talk about that in a second, in America to win. I'm saying he would go out and on the top of the ballot. This is why this is so important to Governor Abbott, because Governor Abbott is down ballot. So who's on the top of the ballot in Texas? President Trump nominated a crook. President Trump nominated a sexually immoral person. And during the time when the Republicans need the strongest candidate possible. Y'all remember the top of the live stream? Y'all think I'll be talking for nothing? I'm finna start putting it together for y'all. How important is the state of Texas for the Republican Party? Somebody put it down in the chat for me. Don't act like you don't know, because I told you in the top of the live stream. How important is the state of Texas? How important? State media, can the Republicans win another presidential election if they do not have the state of Texas? If the state of Texas goes blue, somebody show me the map to a Republican victory in a presidential election. Texas is vastly important. And President Trump, you're not paying attention to the people and the people's wishes, and you just govern in a certain way, like you don't have to run another election, sir. You don't, but you do have a legacy, and you do have a whole bunch of Republicans, a nation full of Republicans. And I'm saying you governing like he's not thinking or he's not caring about none of that. And to add insult to injury, it's just not the way he's governing. He's gonna push off, he's gonna boot off, he's gonna move off John Cronin, who probably would have done a lot better against James Tellerico, a 39-year-old fresh-faced progressive. I don't care if you don't believe me. I don't care if you don't believe in the polls. We gonna find out. Because look at the polls. You losing in the polls. You losing to a Democrat. You don't understand what that means. The last time y'all had a Senate race in the state of Texas between Ted Cruz and who it was? In 2018, in 2024, let's look at 2024, 2022. I'm saying, when the last time, y'all tell me when the last time, I don't care how close Beto was to beating Ted Cruz, Colin Howard wasn't as close. What I'm asking y'all is, when the last time at this point in the campaign season you seen in your polls a Democrat winning? What I'm asking you is, when the last time the Democrats outvoted during the primary season the Republicans in the state of Texas? I don't care if you can't see it. I don't care if you are laughing. You gonna see it in November. Every time I make a prediction, ain't nobody believe me. Or a lot of people don't. The ones who know, they know. He know what he talking about. I told y'all over 1.5, 1.8 million Democrats were gonna vote in this primary in Texas. I didn't hear nobody say nothing like that. Their numbers were nowhere close to that. Ain't nobody, I didn't hear one legacy media, one internet pundit, nobody predict that 2 million Democrats were finna vote in Texas, but I knew it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't have to listen to what I know what I'm talking about. And due to the way that President Trump has governed, it has put Greg Abbott, listen, in Texas, in that Senate seat we talking about, Ken Paxton, a Democrat, just like I said, he winning in the polls. And there ain't, not Ken Paxton, the Democrat, excuse me, James Tellerico, the Democrat, is beating Ken Paxton, the Republican, in the polls. During the same electoral season where the Democrats outvoted the Republicans in the primary season for the first time since when, never happens. Same electoral season. You don't see what's brewing. You don't see what's coming. And what I'm trying to tell you is this is the news. Gina Hinojosa, a state representative in the state of Texas. Here come the news. It's only 1 point in the polls from Greg Abbott, the sitting governor, the sitting Republican governor of Texas. James Tellerico, the senator, he's running for U.S. Senate. Like I said, he's winning against Ken Paxton, the Republican, that President Trump pumped up. Go check y'all fact check me right now. Go look at the polls right now. You can fact check me and look at the polls right now. And I'm here to tell you, in the Fox News poll, Greg Abbott is only winning by a point. 1 point over Gina Hinojosa, who running for governor. A female, Hispanic, 52 years old. She's a state representative. Let me tell you about Texas. Some of y'all say, hey, Ghost, I'm not surprised. Look how President Trump's governing. When we gonna talk about President Trump governing? I'm down here in the comment section, and I want you to, but listen, this is what I'm saying. In the state of Texas, I am surprised. Because like I said, y'all heard the beginning of the live stream, Texas's economy is number 2 in the United States of America. Texas's economy is number 2 in the United States of America. Texas is not having problems or difficulties. They don't have a job problem. Texas don't have economic issues. Texas has a surplus. You got to understand this. This is a state that's not having problems like a lot of other places are having problems. So when you running for a play, you could talk affordability, but talking affordability in Texas is not like talking affordability in Mississippi or like talking affordability in West Virginia. It's a lot different. Because their economy is good. People have good jobs. You understand that? Texas has a top 10 economy in the entire world. And it's only a state. Its economy is rivaling nations. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Texas is on the rise. Houston is one, if not the fastest growing city in America. When I stayed in Houston from 2022 to 2025, Houston was adding 250 souls a day, man. Think about that, to the city, 250 humans a day. Either through migration, people moving there, or children being born. So I'm saying Texas, it's not like, look, we understand how important it is for the Democrats to win Texas. But what I'm saying, if you breaking down and we observing Gina Hinojosa, I'm saying this is a gorgeous lady. She's a 52-year-old woman. She's got a great heart. I'm sure that everything she wants to do for the people and the residents of her state are awesome. I'm telling you, when I hear James Tellerico and when I hear Gina Hinojosa talk, two younger Democrats in the state of Texas with promising futures, both of them are talking about billionaires. How many of y'all heard them talk? How many of y'all heard James Tellerico or Gina Hinojosa talk? I don't know about how the other Democrats or whatever are doing it across America, but when they talk, it sounds like Bernie Sanders or AOC could have wrote their speech, or the same speechwriters. Because I'm saying they talk about corruption. They talk about what ghosts talk about. They talk about the billionaires and the billionaires controlling everything. And I think that's the argument that Gina Hinojosa has that I heard her pitching and making. And it's kind of what ghosts be saying and talking about. When Gina Hinojosa, she's saying, hey, y'all, listen. If you want the billionaires to win, if you want the businesses to win, she said, vote for Governor Abbott. Because she said the businesses and the billionaires have been winning, but she's making a pitch to the poor, a direct pitch. Gina Hinojosa says, if you vote for me, I'm going to give you a $1,500 stimulus check. A lot of y'all laughing at that. I hear y'all get laughed at, and you get laughed at, and you get laughed at, and you get laughed at. And it's like, I don't know if somebody listening to them ghost or not, but I promise you, I'm the one. I've been saying this the whole time, and y'all know this. President Trump and them ain't listening. The Republicans ain't listening, but the Democrats, I guess they might not be listening, but it's just what they do. But I'm saying this woman is smart. In a state with an economy that's that good, her telling them people she gonna give a $1,500 stimulus check, you know what that's doing? And I told y'all, if I didn't tell y'all before, I'm gonna tell y'all now. Whenever we was doing Jasmine for Texas, I said that Texas got the largest swath or largest group or largest number of black voters in the entire country. On top of that, if you factor in Texas's Hispanic population and Asian population, that's 57% of the state's population. Primarily, if we look at a Hispanic, a black, and an Asian, we would say that those demographics favor the Democrats. So the state of Texas is a largely, look, this is the problem. Whenever in 2018, Beto O'Rourke, when he ran against Ted Cruz, he came within 3 points, if I'm not mistaken, of beating Ted Cruz. My numbers might be off, but I think it was 100,000 or so votes he lacked. Bro, listen, it's over 250,300 voters in the greater Harris County area that were eligible to vote or registered to vote, and they didn't vote. We talking about around Harris County, they ain't voting. They weren't voting up in Dallas where Jasmine from. Appreciate the donation. If any of y'all want to donate to the channel, hit the button with the $sign. That's what the problem is. The black voters weren't voting. Well, here comes Gina Hinojosa. Here comes Gina Hinojosa. Hey, listen. What you think could get a black person to go to the poll to vote? If you needed a black man to go to the poll to vote, what you think the best thing that you could do to offer him to get him to go vote? What you think? Because I'm a black man and I could tell you what motivate black people to vote. Hey, I'm going to tell you what motivate them to vote for President Trump. They thought they were finna get a stimulus check. I'm just being real with you. A lot of black people, they're not concerned. They just disconnected with politics. A lot of them. A lot of black people feel like it don't matter, especially in the South. It don't matter who they vote for, ain't nothing gonna change. A lot of Americans feel like that in general. But black people, especially due to the history that African Americans have in the United States, that's just factual. So you got a lot of Texans a lot of black Texans who aren't voting. And those black Texans who aren't voting are the voters that your boy Beto O'Rourke needed to beat Ted Cruz when he came so close back in 2018. You got even more Hispanics in Texas than you did in 2018. You got even more Hispanics. You got pretty much the same demographics, if not more favorable to you. So what you need to do now is you need to motivate all those poor people who aren't going to vote. I'm telling you, there is enough black voters in Texas for Jasmine to win that whole entire Democratic primary. It was enough black voters in the state of Texas for Jasmine Crockett, a black congresswoman for Dallas, to win the whole Democratic. And I'm saying, because you had that black woman for Dallas on the top of that Democratic primary ticket, because you had her on that ticket, I'm saying you saw Astra. Now, for the first time ever, the most Democrats ever going to vote, the most black voters ever. So the key is to motivate those black voters who aren't voting, to motivate those Hispanic voters who aren't voting. Of course, President Trump gonna motivate them to vote. But I'm saying you need more than President Trump's motivation, because you need him to come out there and vote for you. What you do, you offer him $1,500. That had to be one of the smartest. Gina Hinojosa, she said she gonna give every Texan below a certain income $1,500, bro, if she wins. A $1,500 stimulus. That's like Mandami. Those are Mandami strategies, man. Those Bernie Sanders strategies, those Democratic Socialist strategies, those progressive strategies that will help the Democratic Party, and has an upstart Democrat female within 1 point of a sitting 3-term governor in the state of Texas who has a great economy. You can't say that Governor Abbott is corrupt. I lived in the state of Texas. The third branch of government, the courts, the Texas state courts, I practiced in the Texas state courts. I filed 6 or 7 lawsuits in Texas state courts, and I never lost one of them. I never in my mind had a thought that those judges were corrupt. That's why I got love for the state of Texas. Everything I went to the state of Texas and asked for, before I got an income, I got it. When I went to the state of Texas with my disability was approved by the doctors. What I'm saying, I believe that Texas economy is doing so well because they're one of the states that is not corrupt. And the lack of corruption in the state of Texas comes from the government and the way that Governor Abbott is running the state. But yet and still, despite all of that, you got Miss Hinojosa, 1 point away from Greg Abbott, this close. What you telling me is the state of Texas, that governor's race, that's anybody's race. Tell me where I'm wrong at. You might not believe the polls, I don't care. This is a Fox News poll. You got an upstart Democratic state representative that nobody know in a sitting 3-term, running for 4-term governor of the second economy, a Republican stronghold. Listen to me for just a second. Imagine for just a second, the Republicans, they are on their way to Houston. And who would have ever thought, on their way to Houston in 2028, who would have ever thought that the state of Texas could have a sitting Democratic governor and a sitting Democratic senator? I'm saying, think about the chances when the Republicans make their way to Houston, Texas in 2028. They would have thought in their wildest imagination that they might be going to a freshly anointed blue Texas. We've been talking about Texas turning blue for a while. I have. I know a lot of people have. Because just the trends, it just don't seem like, look at all the majority minority states. I didn't know Maryland was a majority minority state. It's a blue state. I don't know if New York is a majority minority state. I know Cali is a majority minority state. It's a blue state. You look at pretty much almost every state that's a majority minority state, and it's a blue state. That's what I'm telling you. I bet New Mexico is a majority minority state if they consider Indians minorities. You know what I'm saying? Hispanics minorities. Look at Arizona. Well, Arizona, you know what I'm saying? Arizona probably a red state. And I don't know if Arizona, but I'm telling you, the majority of minority states, they're blue states. So we had, looking at Texas, we looking at all those voters in Texas that we would think would be voting Democratic. And it's like, why are they voting for Republicans? We would think they would be voting Democratic. You see what I'm saying? But why they voting for Republicans? If you guys have not liked the video, I ask that y'all double tap the screen, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all hit that notification bell. Man, before I jump down in the comment section, because I know a lot of y'all probably thought that I was going to come on here and have a discussion like I do every day, but I'll do that tomorrow. And I did that the day before. But I'm saying the discussion is the way that President Trump has been governing. That's the discussion. That's why Governor Abbott is in trouble. We going back to the front of the live stream, how we started the live stream. It's the way, the decisions, the choices that President Trump has been making. He's been making bad choices. I'm saying you pushing out John Cronin in Texas in the top of the ticket. He didn't realize he putting Ken Paxton at the top of that ticket. And him putting Ken Paxton at the top of that ticket at a time in which gas prices are higher than they were when he first took office. At a time when inflation, that means everything else, milk, eggs, you can look at individual items, but inflation, that overall inflation is at a higher number than it was when he first took office. That's what we're talking about right now. That's why Governor Abbott is only winning by a point in a new Fox poll over Gina Hinojosa. That's why. That's why. Because of the economy. Because of the war in Iran. That's why. It's because of the ICE and the at least aggressive enforcement. It's the Democrats to say illegal enforcement. President Trump has been executed. It's because of ICE. That's the reason why Governor Abbott, and listen, I'm telling you, if Governor Abbott is not safe in Texas, ain't no Republican in America safe. Texas is ruby red as possible. We see Kansas, we see Iowa, we see all these red states in play. I'm trying to tell you, you guys could prepare for a surprise that you are not ready for, and I'm not gonna tell you that in October before the elections like the pundits gonna tell you. I'm telling you this in August. It's a surprise y'all not ready for coming in November. Kansas is in play for the Democrats. Kansas. Iowa is in play for the Democrats. Iowa. I believe the Democrats, North Carolina, that Senate seat, I think that's a wrap. I think the Democrats gonna win North Carolina. We talking about Texas. I told you, I think James Tellerico will be the next senator from the state of Texas. That's what I believe. In Ohio, I believe the Democrats gonna win Ohio. But we talking about the governor's mansion in Texas? The Democrats have completely converted Georgia. Georgia is about to become a blue state, y'all. A completely blue state. How many of y'all remember Keisha Lance Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta? Well, she's about to become the governor of Georgia as a Democrat. So Georgia finna go completely blue, y'all. Y'all know John, what's his name? Ossoff? I don't want to mispronounce their name. I know the politicians. I'm just not that good with names. He doing really well in Georgia. He winning by like 13 points in the last poll, running for Senate. You got blue senators, you know what I'm saying? And you got a blue governor in Georgia. Georgia has been converted to a blue state. That's what's on the agenda in 2026. The full conversion of Georgia to a blue state. Who told y'all that yet? I'm the first one told y'all that, right? Not only Georgia finna become a blue state, the Democrats are working on more. I'm saying when this is all said and done, certified quality for gifted hands, and we look at how important, however important these midterms are, and we look back at the way President Trump governed by going to war in Iran, committing what might have been the greatest blunder in American history from a president in geopolitics. And America's presidents have made a lot of blunders and going to a lot of wars that they should not have fought. I'm saying when we look at it, the damage done to the Republican Party will be extraordinary. It'll be astounding. I'm saying a lot of times when if you get a blue wave, you're going to see the Democrats winning. You know what I'm saying? When the Democrats win in the House, the Democrats can have all the seats in your state. But if you got red senators and you got red governor, it still look like a red state. Oh, they got 5 Democratic Congress people You know what I'm saying? I think Mississippi got 3 or 4 Democratic Congress people. They got some black Congress people, but they got 2 red senators and a red governor. When you turn that governor's mansion blue, and you turn one of them Senate seats blue, see, listen, in Kentucky is a ruby red state. They got 2 red senators, even though they got the governor's mansion. If Kentucky could keep the governor's mansion, all they got to do is get 1 or 2 of them. And we're going to look at Kentucky, we're going to put it in the purple column. The Democrats are making huge gains across the South. Ginormous gains. I'm talking about, Georgia is not about to be a purple state. Georgia, I don't care if President Trump won, you got a blue governor. That's what I'm telling you. Byron Donald, he in Florida, you finna have a black governor in the state of Florida. A black governor in Florida and Georgia. That is unbelievable. That's like America reputing President Trump. I'm trying to tell y'all, even though Byron Donald is supported by President Trump, Keisha Lance Bottom in Georgia definitely is not. And you know how important Georgia was to President Trump. The Republican Party, he just lost Georgia. He about to lose Texas too for the Republicans. He about to. You could say whatever you want to about Governor Abbott, and Governor Abbott, if he's not loyal to President Trump, he said that about Marjorie Taylor Greene. He said that about Mike Pence. I heard MAGA, y'all said that about Mike Pence. Look at how they did Mike Pence, and Mike Pence was all the way loyal to President Trump. So how you gonna tell me Marjorie Taylor Greene wasn't loyal to President Trump? Now they gonna say Governor Abbott wasn't loyal to, ain't nobody loyal to President Trump. J.D. Vance ain't loyal to Marco Rubio. If you say anything about some of the idiotic things that President Trump is doing, because if I worked for him, I would tell him I'd be just like Charlie Kirk. Because I'm trying to protect the whole brand, the whole Republican Party. Because I know in order for him to be an effective president, he needed to at least have 1 chamber of Congress on his side moving into 2028, past 2026. And I'm saying it wouldn't hurt him to keep a lot of these governor mansions, because a lot of those governors mansions, we don't talk about that. I usually talk about Congress. I talk about Congress, and I talk about the House of Representatives and the Senate. I don't usually talk about the governor's mansion. But looking at the governor's mansion, the blue wave is real. And remember that Ghost is the first one that told y'all that if this Iran war is still going on, that they gonna win, the Democrats gonna win the Senate. Look, so the Democrats gotta pick up 4 seats. If you look at the races on the board, one would think to pick up 4 seats in the Senate for either party would be almost impossible. So you would think that the Democrats, they will have to hold one of the 4 seats that they will have to hold all of the seats that they have. Because if they lose Michigan with El Sahid, that means they got to pick up 5 seats. Well, I'm saying it's 6 seats on the board that they could win. The Democrats could win Maine, They could win Maine. They could win Ohio. We just talked about Texas. They're gonna win North Carolina. They could win Kansas. They could win Iowa. That's 6 Senate seats I just gave you that the Democrats are either leading or they're very competitive in. So they can, if they do lose Michigan, or if they do win Michigan, they might have a net gain of 3 seats, 2 or 3 seats in the Senate. And remember, I'm the one that told you first. We finna do a live stream on that. And all of this is because of the way President Trump has chosen to govern. President Trump has chosen to govern like he doesn't have to run any more elections. And he's correct. He don't have to run any more elections. But there's a whole lot of Republicans on the ballot, like Governor Greg Abbott, who's having to speak for President Trump's policies to the people of the state of Texas. Because you believe it or not, even though Governor Abbott has been a governor for 3 terms in the state of Texas, when the voters go to vote, they are going to vote for Governor Abbott off of what President Trump is doing. That's the only reason why you could say Governor Hinojosa, you could say State Rep Gina Hinojosa has a chance. It's not like Governor Abbott has corruption charges pending on him, man. Let's be for real. Let's be real. I don't care any of y'all in the state of Texas who saying, oh, Ghost, you just taking up for him. He got this wrong. He did this. It ain't like he got corruption charges pending on him like Paxton do. Let's be for real. He might have said something where he didn't support James Paxton. I don't know. Did Governor Abbott endorse James Paxton for Senate? I know he didn't. He probably endorsed John Cronin because he know he got the best chance to win. And Governor Abbott forward looking for the Republican Party when President Trump is not. President Trump is forward looking for himself. And not only, somebody said that President Trump is trying to destroy the system by getting America in a war, that, yeah, he might be trying to do that, whoever trying to take up for him, you could be saying that, but in the meantime, he's destroying the Republican Party too. Destroying the Republican Party too. Point blank period. I don't see the chessboard like President Trump is trying to do this intentionally with that war in Iran. Because we went over it. To me, it looks like President Trump is doing that almost because, you know what I'm saying, he had to. Because, listen, so I seen CNN. CNN, they asked President Trump a question about Kim Jong-un yesterday, and he gets upset about it. But I think it's a valid conversation that need to be had. Because I'm almost 1,000% positive, 90% of the reason why President Trump went so aggressive against Iran is because of the mistake he made with Kim Jong-un. He tried diplomacy, or he tried to be Kim Jong-un's friend, and in return, Kim Jong-un, under his watch, got a nuclear weapon. You see what I'm saying? So he don't want the same thing to happen to Iran, because that could be catastrophic for Israel and other Gulf states in the region. Because Iran probably gonna use that nuclear weapon. The Europeans labeled the Iranians, IRGC, their entire army, as a terrorist organization. What I said wrong, y'all, I first saw it. Where I'm wrong at, y'all? Where am I wrong certified quality in my assessment? Four gifted hands, baby. Where am I wrong in my assessment? If you guys have not liked the video, y'all go ahead and double tap the screen for me. Out here on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Y'all double tap the screen for me, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure y'all hit that notification bell. Coming on up more, become homeless. I don't know what that means, certified quality. I'll live crack. Do you want some, bro? I don't know what that means. Certified quality, you just took a left turn, but let's go back to one of your better comments. Government's giving only $20 increase in people's SSI check per year. Due as rents is more than a single person receives. Let's see. Bat says Ken is bringing down Abbott, and that is absolutely true. It's like President Trump, he doesn't consider everything whenever he's making a decision, whatever decision he's making. See, Governor Abbott is on that ballot, and he know when them voters go inside that, in the ballot box, in the ballot booth. See, you would probably hear this from a political pundit on CNN, somebody who studied politics. But if you ain't studied politics, you don't understand certain concepts of voting. You understand that? Not study politics if you hadn't taken political science. I wrote thesis statements on why voters make certain decisions that they make. Whole thesis statements. So you just got to understand certain things. When you are only strong as your top of your ticket, because everything else is down ballot. A lot of voters are not informed, and a lot of voters aren't going to go in there, and they're not voting both sides. So I'm saying, if you get a ballot and an independent, if you get an independent and you give him a ballot, the majority of them independents if they going in that ballot box and they voting for James Tellerico, because I'm telling you, the campaign that James Tellerico built in the state of Texas is astounding. I'm talking about, look, whenever I was doing the Jasmine for Texas, and I did actually volunteer for Jasmine, we did phone banks and stuff like that, when we were doing the Jasmine for Texas series, and I was saying, before I ever looked at Ken Paxton or what Ken Paxton was doing in his campaign, I said, if running Jasmine's campaign, these are the things I would do. James Tellerico. James Tellerico did all of those things. James Tellerico probably got, by now, over 100,000 volunteers working on his campaign. Easily. All across the state of Texas, over 100,000. It's a people power campaign. Ken Paxton cannot beat James Tellerico. He's not going to beat James Tellerico. I'm predicting it. I'm starting my predictions right now. I hadn't came out and made it official, but I'm gonna predict every single race in that Senate. Y'all hear me? The predictor himself. I'm predicting every race in that Senate, and I'll predict the important races in the House. I'm gonna predict 20 races this year. And it's the first time ever, I'm gonna say predictions with Ghostwriter. We're gonna start it 30 days before election day, and I'm gonna start telling you these politicians, and I'm gonna tell you why they gonna win. I'm gonna tell you why James Tellerico, I'm telling you right now why he gonna win beat Ken Paxton. I don't have to go and look in, and I know he beating him in the polls. I don't have to go in and look in and see if he raising more money than Ken Paxton and all that. I predicted and understood in the state of Texas, more Democrats were going to show up and vote. This is what I would say. If you were Ken Paxton or Gina Hinojosa, what I would say is I would hire Jasmine Crockett as well to be a surrogate. It's not going to hurt you. Gina Hinojosa or James Tellerico or both of y'all, who else would, y'all seen how many Democrats showed up and voted in the primary? So if any of y'all from the state of Texas are listening to me, I'm trying to tell y'all, you seen how many Democrats showed up and voted in your Democratic primary. And a large percentage reason of that is for Jasmine Crockett, and Jasmine was motivating those black and low propensity voters to come vote. I'm saying they were excited about the prospects of having a black female congresswoman from the state of Texas. What I'm trying to tell y'all is if I was y'all, I would hire her as a surrogate so she could keep pumping up those black voters, and she could get more, because I'm telling you, if James Tellerico get those black voters in Harris County, in Dallas County, in Tarrant County, out there in Austin and Travis County, if James Tellerico get the black and Hispanic voters to show up, I promise you, he gonna run away with it. He on top of the ballot. So President Trump don't understand when he moving Cronin out the way. Cronin was beating James Tellerico. Listen, if Cronin would have been on the ballot, he probably would have done pretty much what Ted Cruz did to Beto O'Rourke in 2018. He probably beat him by about 2 or 3 points. That's what I believe. He would probably beat him barely. It'd have been close. But what we thought was going to happen was President Trump winning by 14 points in 2024, 2 years later. If you keep the sitting senator who's been there, who's been winning elections there, you get rid of the senator who's won. John Cronin, he's the senior senator. He's been there the longest. He won more elections than Ted Cruz. And we know Ted Cruz in New York, a Republican. Ted Cruz, one of the most famous Republicans in America. And I'm saying he's a junior senator in Texas. So I'm saying you remove the senator who's winning elections. You see, look, this is what you gotta understand. Governor Abbott was on that ballot. Governor Abbott is on that ballot. So Governor Abbott, he understands this. He understands, listen, you taking off you taking off a senator who has won I don't know how many elections as a senator, and instead you put during this election cycle, with an Iraq war. It's a perfect storm. Instead, you put on a congressman, you put on an attorney general who cheated on his wife and who was facing corruption charges. He was arrested, just like President Trump. I'm saying Ken Paxton was arrested just like President Trump. So if I'm running a campaign in the state of Texas for the Republican Party, during a year when President Trump made $2 billion in 1 year and gas prices is higher and inflation is higher and the poor aren't getting any help and the food stamps are getting cut and the Medicaid getting cut, and you went and fought an unnecessary during this year, you gotta have the senator on the top of that ballot that then won 4 or 5 elections as a senator. Instead, you replacing a sure winner, one who has continued to win, one who is polling better, than James Tellerico and Jasmine Crockett. He kicked that senator to the curb, and he go bring Ken Paxton. And so now on the top of the ticket in the state of Texas, you got a man who cheated on his wife, a man who, attorney general. So Texas knows him well. It's not like Ken Paxton is running for president and they don't know him in Mississippi or Michigan or in New Mexico. And he out there explaining his side of the story while they telling his past. No, Texas know the whole story on Ken Paxton, attorney general. So you gonna put him on the top of the ticket for Senate, on the top of your whole ballot during the time of the Epstein files. A man who is known to cheat on his wife, a man who was arrested for corruption charges. And see, that's what Governor Abbott understands, that now when those independents go in the ballot box, they see on the top of the ticket, oh, we know James Tellerico. James Tellerico got national fame. So we know James Tellerico. He done spent a whole lot of money. We know who he is. And then they scrolling down, they looking at the candidates. Once they check that first Democratic box, a lot of those, they just going Democrat all the way down the ballot. That's what we mean, top of the ballot. Who the first name? If it's a presidential election and President Trump on the top of the ballot, the Republicans have their strongest chance. That's when the Republicans are most enthusiastic when President Trump, since he came in 2016, they're more enthusiastic when his name's on the ballot. You're gonna get a higher turnout. And I'm saying if his name on the ballot, they just gonna go President Trump, Ken Paxton, they're gonna check down. President Trump's name is not on that ballot. So a lot of those people, you gotta get the people. I'm talking about while your economy is looking the way it is. Inflation, your gas prices, your cuts to TANF, your cuts to Medicaid, your ridiculous immigration enforcement, and your crazy forever war in the Middle East, you gotta convince the Texas voter to vote for Ken Paxton under them circumstances. James Tellerico is a fresh face and a new start. And down the ballot for governor, you have Gina Hinojosa. And she telling the people, I'm going to give them $1,500. It's a perfect storm in the state of Texas, and President Trump is at his own hands and his own making. He dipped his fingers in there, and he shouldn't have did that. And the results of that is Texas is about, I promise y'all, Texas going blue. It's happening. I promise you, it's going to happen. Texas is blue. I don't know about Governor Abbott. He might survive by the hair of his chinny chin, and he might not. I know James Tellerico on the top of that ticket. He gonna win. And James, this is all I'm asking you to do, homie. You need to hire Jasmine, bruh. Because if you don't hire Jasmine, you might not win. That's how y'all need to understand. Like, I'm about winning. I'm all about winning. I don't care VP Harris, you need to pick Governor Shapiro as your vice presidential candidate. Nah, I want to go get Tim Walz. Bro, listen, I could look at Tim Walz and look at him and tell you he's not a vice president. He's not. He's not vice presidential material. If he's not vice presidential material, you're not going to win. I don't care what they saying that your vice president don't matter. You listen to them if you want to, and you lost. Governor Shapiro standing next to her look a whole lot different than Tim Walz. I promise you. Governor Shapiro got a 60% approval rate in a purple state of Pennsylvania. He got a lot of Republicans who like him too. He a whole different breed of politician. Governor Shapiro is. They love Governor Shapiro. If I'm not mistaken, Governor Shapiro is a Jew. If I'm not mistaken, you ain't gonna find the black Hebrew Israelites love Governor Shapiro. He a different kind of politician. And that's what I'm trying to say. Y'all could have put him, she could have put him on the ticket, but now she want to put goofball. I ain't hating on Governor Walz. I'm just saying that's Minnesota. Minnesota ain't the rest of America though. You know what I'm talking about? So, but hey, look, that's just how it go. Well, I'm saying James Tellerico, you need to get Jasmine. I'm talking about hire her as a surrogate. Because Jasmine out there campaigning for the Democrats in Texas. First of all, she's a sitting U.S. Congresswoman, and she will be throughout December. So she will be throughout the election. She's she's probably the most popular, well, she was or probably still is the most popular nationwide Democrat from the state of Texas. And she can enthusiaze. She could pump enthusiasm into that segment of the population that James Tellerico and Gina Hinojosa absolutely needs to win. And those black voters who just never are enthusiastic about vote. Another thing I was thinking too, you know, Governor Abbott, he spent millions of dollars to ensure that Jasmine Crockett didn't win that nomination. So what I was thinking is that would be sweet revenge for her too. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about maybe not as much with James Tellerico winning, but with Gina Hinojosa winning that governor's mansion, a Democrat taking control of that governor's mansion, I think that would be the sweetest sound, the sweetest stream music that Jasmine Crockett probably ever heard in her entire life in this situation. That's what I think, man. If you guys have not liked the video, y'all go ahead and double tap the screen for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all hit that notification bell. Who is Harambe? I don't even know who that is. I know it's a lot of Democrats running. I'm going to pick 20 races for you guys. I'm going to pick and predict 20 races. And I'm going to try to do this before the prediction markets do it. You know the prediction market, but the prediction markets change. My picks ain't going to change. That's the difference. The prediction markets, they change. They move and they change. My picks ain't going to change. They're going to stay the same. If I tell you it's an 80% chance that James Tellerico gonna win the state of Texas, I'm not moving. I'm gonna stay there. Because it's gonna be reasons why I'm thinking that. James Tellerico, I could tell you right now, I'm gonna predict you to win, but if you go hire Jasmine Crockett, that prediction gonna be super solid. Because I know what I'm talking about, and I be giving these candidates advice, and they don't be listening to me. And every time I talked about that, my mama, yesterday, every time I say something and the candidate don't listen, they lose. They lose. Every time I say something and the candidate don't listen, they lose. So I'm telling you today, James Tellerico, you and Gina Hinojosa, I don't care, the Texas Democratic Party, y'all need to hire Jasmine Crockett to be a surrogate for y'all, because she can pump up, or she can get certain voters to the polls that James Tellerico might not be able to do, and Gina Hinojosa can't do, and it's going to consolidate your coalition. You need to consolidate a coalition of Hispanic and black minority voters in the state of Texas. And if you do that, I could guarantee you almost 3,000% that that James Tellerico will win. If James Tellerico will win, down ballot, Gina Hinojosa probably will win too. Probably smoking. They ain't gotta listen to me, bro. You see what I'm saying? They ain't gotta listen to me. Nobody said they had to listen to me. No one said that. Who said they had to listen to me? And you said probably smoking hash, bro. I'm saying, like, I like your screen name, but if you come on this live stream and you make a false statement about me, you better hope I don't find out your government name ever. Because I don't have to have a hospital to bill to sue you for making a false statement about me. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody ever make any false statements on me at all, I promise you, it's going to rat-a-tat-tat immediately. I'm going to sue you. Bro, to do a defamation lawsuit is easy. I don't have to prove no liability. All I got to do is prove that you published a statement like you publishing a statement right now in these comments. We have allowed defamation and slander per se get away with it for too long. That's why I'm saying Fox News is slandering Zoran's name. They slandering. I don't care what you say, they slandering his name. They finna get another $1 trillion lawsuit sooner than later. Dude, I couldn't work for Zoran. I would have sued Fox News by now. You know how Governor Newsom sued him? I would have sued him. You know how President Trump said? I would have sued him. You can't slander people's name. If you don't listen, I don't care if they don't enforce the law. What you need to do is you need to go hire some lawyers. That's what you need to do. And if you got lawyers and you getting sued for $1 trillion, you need to fire them lawyers and go hire some more. Hey, because if I worked for you, Fox News, I promise you, y'all could say whatever you want to, but one thing wouldn't happen. You wouldn't be getting sued. You wouldn't be getting sued. If you guys have not liked the video, y'all double tap the screen for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure y'all hit that notification bell as well. Somebody said, screw Trump. I'm not going to say that, you know. Like, he our president for the next 2.5 years. According to the U.S. Constitution, I can't have a mentality of screw President Trump. Not if he the U.S. president. That means he your president whether you want to own him or not. You know you got a brother or a sister that's aggravating, or they get on your nerves, or they shameful, and you don't want to own up to them. That ain't my brother. Hey, I must have one of my sisters in the live stream. Hey, my big sister, she used to always do that. She a jokester, boy. I love that girl to death. She like my mama, man. That one of my family members I miss. I was close to her, bro. My middle sister too. My mama's, because I was raised with them. So, you know, I'm close to her. Hey, anytime I do something embarrassing, my sister be like, oh, that ain't my brother. Hey, so I know a lot of us feel like, that ain't my president. But he is your president. He is my president too. Point blank period. That's just whether you want to admit it or not. That's being mature, and that's being grown-up adults. You got to understand, and the stuff that we talking greater strategy for the United States. The business of America. And the stuff that we taught, you got to be mature, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't, this ain't no Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Scooby. This ain't Scooby-Doo. You know what I'm saying? So I understand if you a voter and your frustration, he has made a lot of errors. He's made a lot of mistakes. He even cost Republicans. He's going to cost a lot of Republicans. It's a lot of, like what I'm going to say, political capital he took into going to war with Iran, and it was a misestimation, and it was a mistake. And it's going to cost Republicans dearly in November. But I'm saying, still in all, I mean, he's still who he is. For the time he's sitting in that position, he's still who he is. So, me personally, you ain't gonna hear me say that. Listen, guys, I'm trying to get those channel memberships. We need those channel memberships. We need them, need them, need them. If anybody wants to become a member of the channel, y'all hit that button with the $sign in it, and your donations are much appreciated. $2.99 to become a member of the channel. We have a lot of exclusive content, behind the scenes content that regular members cannot see. Plus, that's the best way that you can support the channel, and we do need your guys' support. I don't care if they say I'm begging, they can say I'm begging all they want to. I need your guys' support to continue with this content and to better the content. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, my mom said it yesterday. She said, look, I be outside and I be streaming. And she said, it's good. What you're doing is something no one else is doing. But she said, if you get serious with us, when you get your studio and start screen sharing and doing like, and it was a goal for a Miller Ray Legal. You know, we finna hit September, our second year, the midterm season. I promised people that I would do that. So I hope to God by October, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll get in the studio. You know, I could do it if I want to, you know, just go live 2 or 3 days and try to rent a space, but I ain't trying to do that, man. You know what I'm saying? And the space I'm living in, you know, I actually have people living in the space with me. So you doing a live stream like that, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard because you gonna get you need privacy and all that. I don't want to impede on everybody else. So not trying to share my personal life, but you know, that's just what I'm looking at and doing right now. I need a studio, man. You feel me? I need a sponsor, man. I need a sponsor. But until then, man, I'ma just work. And until like I get to the point to where I settle to one spot, you know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna just keep on rocking like this. Golly, man, somebody hating on President Trump. And if y'all wondering why Governor Abbott is having problems in Texas, Hannibal, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Hannibal. I thank you so much for your respect. I thank you so much for your support and your love. And I thank you so much for understanding me, Hannibal, and coming in here and letting your voice be heard, being an American and joining the conversation. So I appreciate you being here, Hannibal. I thank you. I love you. I respect you. You're one of the most important members of this channel. So thank you for that. But what who is that? Mama No says, yep, a grifter, racist, lying psycho. That's the reason why Governor Abbott's only winning by a point in Texas. That's the reason why James Tellerico is winning in Texas. That's the reason why. Because of what people think. Gina Hinojosa, I want to salute her. I never seen her coming. I never thought she had a chance against Governor Abbott. She's doing a great job. James Tellerico, I've been seeing him coming. I seen James Tellerico against Jasmine, and James, I knew he was James Tellerico. He came to win. You know what I'm saying? He came with the right strategies. He's trying to win. The Democrats are really trying to win Texas. They trying to win Texas, y'all. They putting a serious play in for Texas, and I think they're gonna do it this time. Golly, what Grissom said, man, ooh, that's deep. She said Trump is a 34-time convicted felon, grifter, corrupt. A tree is known by its fruits. Look, Grissom's to play devil advocate. President Trump would say that those 34 felonies were political. But even if you think that those 34 felonies, or I would say even if you know that those 34 felonies were political, I'm saying what Christians would say is, hey, he still got a jacket of other things that he did that were horrendous or that were bad that we could judge him for. So looking at the other things that he did that were, horrendous or bad that we could judge him for, Ghost, that President Trump is exactly what I said. It's hard to argue with that. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to argue with that. And for any Republican who's running for any race in these United States, in any district, you are not safe. I'm telling you, if you are Republican and you on the ballot, I don't care if Lindsey Graham, if it was Lindsey Graham, Lindsey Graham could have lost his seat. in the Senate. I don't know if it's the Epstein files. I don't know if it's this Iran war. I don't know if it's a combination. The American people recognize that we need changes. The American people recognize we need a revolution. So what they're going to do is they're going to just get rid of a lot of people that we always voted for. Lindsey Graham wouldn't have been safe. The reason why Nancy Pelosi retired, because the progressives were going to get rid of her. The Democratic Socialists were going to get rid of her anyway. They had a candidate running in her seat who's going to win, who was going to beat her in the primary, and she realized this. And so a lot of Republicans, if you haven't been doing your job, right now is not a good time for you. And you better not run no half-hearted race, because if you do, you're going to get cream crop. I don't care if President Trump won it by 14 points. I don't care if President Trump won your district by 14 points. You're going to get cream crop. Brent, I'm a moron, but you on the channel listening. Or, I'm sorry, Brent. Let me correct myself. You were on the channel listening to a moron. So if I'm a moron, Brent, I did you a favor. You don't have to listen to me. You see how I love everyone, even my haters? You see how I give love to my haters as well? He said I was a moron, and he's sitting here listening to a moron. So to help him out, you ain't got to listen to no moron no more. Let me get rid of the pain for you. I don't like put people through human misery. I'm just the opposite. I'm going to leave your misery by exiting you out the live stream so you don't have to listen to the moron. Every state that borders Texas has legal marijuana except this one. If Gina Hinojosa make it about that, there's enough young people in Texas to and if James Tellerico make it about that, I'm saying that is true. Because if you think about how many people coming to Houston, Austin, and Dallas, I'm saying if you added, because I'm saying if you a stoner and you want to go to vacation, I'm saying, why would I go to Texas? I'm going to go to Colorado and New Mexico. That's why New Mexico had to legalize marijuana. Before, I was in New Mexico for 3 months in 2020. And in New Mexico, we was working, so I couldn't leave. But at the end of our shift on Friday, so I go to work at 11 p.m. and I get off at 7 a.m. At 7:15, we taking a shower, the hotel room. At 8 o'clock, we done packed up, we in the car getting gas, and at 9 o'clock, we are on our way to Colorado. No sleep. And we gonna stay in Colorado till it's comeback time to go to work. And not just the stoner. You think about all the in Colorado. You think about all the waterfalls and mountains. But New Mexico have waterfalls and mountains too. But I'm saying, how can New Mexico compete with Colorado in tourism when a lot of these outdoor people they be smoking? You'll be surprised what the percentage of Americans are using legal THC. So I'm saying New Mexico tourism was suffering because Colorado and other states had legal THC. Why would I go to Colorado? Why would I go to Pennsylvania if they don't have legal THC and you using the THC as a form of medicine? And you need the THC as medicine, and Pennsylvania says that THC is illegal. Why would I stay in Pennsylvania? I'm going to skip Pennsylvania. I'm going to go to New York. I want to go to New York anyway. That's why I'm up here. That's why I live here for a year. So I'm saying, but if New York was a state that it was illegal THC and I'm using this for medicine, then I'm going to stay in Connecticut. You get that? So yeah, it'll help Texas out a lot. A lot of young people in Texas is advertising for young people to come to the states. If they did legalize marijuana, a lot more people will move to the state of Texas. And they already have a lot of people moving to the state of Texas. So that does help your argument as a Democrat. Somebody says Nevada. Yeah, Nevada about the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying you want to cater to the tourists that are coming to your state. If you trying to make money and if it's about the economy, that's what I'm saying. U.S. will probably win. This is U.S. OA Devil Dog. The Dems will probably win midterms, House and Senate, but they'll get crushed in 2028 because by then the DSA would have taken over their entire party. I don't think so. I don't think so. That's not, when the last time a Republican, okay, George Bush got reelected, okay? Maybe you're going to say we're going to try to hide behind a war and say that we need to elect J.D. Vance for the war. I don't think that that's going to fly. President Trump can't run again. So you're going to say we need to elect J.D. Vance to continue a war that the American people didn't support in the first place. I think that was the best chance that you had at a Republican getting reelected. That's what happened with George Bush. But I'm saying this time, Donald Trump ain't up for re-election, and they're not going to vote on J.D. Vance on that war. They're going to vote against or for J.D. Vance on how good President Trump did or do not do with the economy. That's how they're going to vote for or against J.D. Vance. How good President Trump did or did not do with the economy, point blank. If you look at that referendum, I don't think, how can you look at JD and say he got a chance? If it's about affordability, if Americans are voting on affordability, we understand Bernie Sanders is too old to run for president. But if you voting, listen to me, I want everybody, please, if y'all listening to this live stream, if you working, you got your headphones in, just stop for a second or pay attention to what I'm saying right now. If you are voting for affordability, if that's what the whole thing is about, the economy and affordability, then Bernie Sanders, in my opinion, will have the best chance of being president. Who disagrees? Who disagree? If we are running on affordability and we look at every single politician in these United States, at all the politicians, and if the economy and affordability is the top issue, then I would say out of all the politicians in America, I wouldn't know any other politician who would speak best to economic issues that poor Americans are facing than Bernie Sanders. Would you agree or disagree? On top of that, the most popular, as far as social media is concerned, the most popular politician in the United States is, guess who? Say it one time with me. Who got 50 million followers on social media? Say it one time with me. Say it one time with me. Listen, if I would look at every politician, look, Bernie Sanders got a plan for any economic issue you're going through. If you want to go to school, Bernie Sanders got a plan to let you go for free. If you ain't got no money in California, Bernie Sanders, he got a plan to get you $3,000. All he needs you to do is go vote. I'm telling you, he got a plan for every economic hardship of a poor man. That's what progressives do. So I'm saying if it's about policies, if it's about policies alone, if the American people are looking for help, who talks help to the American people better than Bernie Sanders? Let's be real, okay? He didn't start doing this because we have an affordability crisis. He was doing this when America had a good economy, bad economy. It's the same speech. Listen, not only that, to add insult to injury, like I said, if you look at the popularity on social media, guess who got 50 million followers on social media and the most popular politician? Bernie Sanders. Why you think that is? It's more poor people than rich people. They hear his voice, and his voice sounds like a voice that'll help them. Well, you say, Ghost, hold up now. I'm going to pull up one of your live streams. These old men with their old policies. Bernie Sanders' policies ain't old. They are old, but they old at work. And he and he is an old man, but he's a wizard. He's a scientist. Unfortunately, if he got elected president at the end of his term, he'd be like 86 or 87, so that wouldn't work. So who's Bernie Sanders' underling? Who's his underling? Who's the second most popular politician on social media? His underling. The one he been raising up and training for 8 years. The one he been supporting for 8 years, the one who right under his arm. The one who gonna take over for the progressives after he's gone. AOC. Tell me what I said wrong so far. AOC is the second most popular politician on social media with 30 million followers. I'm saying, listen, President Trump, he a very popular person. I don't know if you consider that. It's not from politics. It's not from politics. His popularity don't come from politics, is what I'm saying. AOC popularity come from politics. Bernie Sanders' popularity comes from politics. When people are sitting in the audience listening to President Trump, it's not all about politics, is what I'm trying to tell you. He's a character. It's the character Trump. You know, larger than life. He got his name on the side of a plane. He got gold toilets. He got gold letters on buildings. It's Trump. You see what I'm saying? A TV dude, television. You know what I'm saying? Businessman, the Trumpster. See, that ain't just about politics. When AOC go to Los Angeles with Bernie and they draw 80,000 people, that's all about politics. That's like that Barack Obama hope and change. I'm trying to tell y'all, and we gonna do a live stream about this. AOC is ready to lead a nation. If that girl, if they come up with some kind of slogan for her and some kind of movement like a Tea Party type movement with the socialists on the left, I'm telling y'all, in 2028, she'll mop the floor like a mop stick. Like a mop stick. If she could win that Democratic nomination, it's gonna be like a mop stick. Everything she talking about gonna resonate with the American people. That's number one. Number two, look at her popularity. I want to tell you this. This 2025. Y'all don't understand. Look, what's one of the most important things about a politician? Their ability to raise what? Money. Their ability to raise money. That's one of the most. AOC in 2025. Her and Bernie Sanders, they went on a fight oligarchy tour. You know what their goal was? Their goal was to resurrect the Democratic Party. She not running for nothing in 2025. What's she running for? She running for Congress this year, but last year she running for nothing. She raised $25 million, boy, without even attempting. Hey, look, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to talk about President Trump, and we going to fight oligarchy. And I'm not running for no political position, and I go to Los Angeles and I got 80,000 people there and I raised $25 million in a non-election year, and you talking to me about Governor Newsom? Governor Newsom can't do none of that, and I got respect for Governor Newsom. Governor Newsom can't go to Los Angeles and get 80,000 people to come hear him speak. AOC and Bernie Sanders, the only politicians in your party that could do that. Point blank. The only ones. Governor Newsom don't have that many followers. It's a lot of a lot of people don't know who Governor Newsom is. People know AOC outside of politics. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all, man. I don't know where y'all getting, where y'all who could raise the most money out of them Democratic candidates you got on the board. I'm not hating on VP Harris. She raised the most money out of any politician in U.S. history. But you got VP Harris, you got Governor Newsom, you got AOC, and you got, who the fourth one I'm going to put up there with them? Governor Newsom, AOC, VP Harris, and who the fourth one you going to put up there? Because them the main three in my opinion. I'm saying, who you think going to raise I think AOC could raise more. She got more followers. She got more enthusiasm. She got more younger voters, those progressives. You know, when VP Harris was doing rallies and she would have hecklers at her rallies, those were Democrats, those were progressives. They don't feel like she far left enough. They not gonna be heckling AOC. They gonna heckle Governor Newsom. They gonna heckle Governor Shapiro. So I'm saying it depends on where you at with those votes. Listen, you not listening to me. Listen to me. Democratic primaries, let's run it. In a Democratic primary, we got our Democratic primary. We gonna go to Iowa. Who gonna win Iowa? Well, VP Harris probably will win Iowa, okay? You go to New Hampshire, VP Harris gonna be strong in New Hampshire, but AOC from where? And you not talking about she from New York. We talking about this is the second most, she got more followers than VP Harris. It don't matter about your followers, but that matters about your popularity. It matters about, can she go get them followers to go vote? That's what matters. But that's just my opinion. I think if affordability is the issue, AOC been talking that affordability stuff for all 8 years she been in Congress. And I'm saying she was never attached to a Joe Biden administration. I'm saying, I don't know. We'll have to find out. We'll have to see. VP Harris is she out there like strong for president? And VP Harris, if she not gonna be the contender, it's people coming up to VP Harris telling her that they knew she was right the whole time. So don't be surprised when VP Harris has a whole lot of support behind her running for president. She gonna have a lot of support, bro. A lot of support. The Democratic Party calls. See, I'm not a Democrat. I wouldn't necessarily argue with that all the way. President Trump mismanaged COVID, point blank period. It's both parties, because you had both parties come in. President Trump mismanaged COVID. Due to that mismanagement of COVID, when Joe Biden took over, you had millions of American children in poverty. So Joe Biden, he did pull out probably more American children out of poverty than any president in U.S. history with his policies. He flooded the zone with money, but he flooded the zone with too much money. And that's what happened. So to a certain extent, inflation was caused by the Democrats. Listen, I'm saying that inflation got to 10% under Joe Biden. That's the third highest in U.S. history. But Joe Biden had been president for 19 months. So when President Trump took over, for 5 years President Trump been president, gas prices never got over $3 a gallon until right now. So when President Trump took over, he got the gas prices down. In Mississippi, gas prices was $2 and something. They $3 and something now. You know what I'm saying? He got the gas prices down. He was getting the food prices down. He got his inflation number lower than it was when he took over. Listen, the Fed want inflation at about 2.2, 2.3%. Joe Biden had it at 2.9%. President Trump got it down to about where it was supposed to be. And then what happened? Joe Biden made the decision to go to war with her. Listen, inflation is high because of Joe Biden. The American people recognize that. So they elected Donald Trump to fix inflation. Has he fixed inflation? You could say in 2024 it was high because of Joe Biden. It got to 10%. That's the third highest under any president. But President Trump was elected to fix that. Has he fixed it? Yeah, it was high. Listen, I'm not a Democrat or a progressive. Yeah, it did get high because of Joe Biden. But you got elected to fix it. You've been in office for 19 months and you talking about a man 19 months ago. So the American people the boss. We picking and choosing the leaders. We giving him approval ratings. So you a boss of a company and you give your employee an objective. Your objective is to fix A, B, and C. And then 19 months later, you coming back talking to me about what the employee did before you. What? Bro, I done hired you and I hired you to fix this. Listen, you work for my company and we fixing sinks and toilets. And I hired you to fix this sink. And I walk away and I come back and you tell me the dude that worked for here 19 months ago is the reason the toilet ain't fixed. That might be true, but I'm gonna escort you out the door today because I hired you to fix this toilet. And I'm not trying to hear about what some dude did before you 19 months ago. President Trump wouldn't take that in his business. Am I lying? Look, we working at Trump Towers. And you go, and I tell one of the housekeepers to do A, B, and C, and I come in here and she said, well, the housekeeper who worked here 19 months ago, they made this mess. I don't want to hear nothing about no 19 months ago. You've been in this job for 19 months. You have not fixed inflation. It's gotten worse. You have not fixed the economy. It's gotten better for rich people, but it has gotten worse for everyone else. That's factual. That's no hating. That's no side taking. That's all facts. Hour and 50 minutes, y'all. If y'all haven't liked the video, y'all double tap the screen for me if you on the cell phone. Moolah said get off that Democratic plantation. That Democratic plantation that'll give you a bed in a neighborhood where the apartments are $12,000 a piece. That Democratic, yeah, you talking about giving you, what they giving you. It's a plantation, but they giving you what they giving you. I'm saying what the Republicans doing for you. What they doing? You tell me 3 things that a Republican has done for you in the last 12 months. Tell me 3 policies that a Republican has passed. We not talking about the Housing Act because that's Democrats' policies. I want 3 original Republican policies that helps a person who makes less than $100,000 a year. Shoot. Y'all go ahead and shoot. I'll wait for y'all down below in the comments. I want 3 policies that were wrote by Republicans and originated by Republicans that'll help a person. Not 3 policy proposals, 3 enacted policies. Because I could give you 500 enacted policies in America that were enacted by Democrats. 500. I could tell you more enacted policies by Republicans that help the people than a Republican can. Because a lot of y'all didn't even know that Ronald Reagan was the one with the child tax credit. I could tell you more policies that the Republicans have passed. Anytime the Republicans pass a policy that'll help a poor person or a person making less than $100,000 a year, it gets my attention. That's what I'm trying to say. So y'all tell me some policies that they passed that help people. Because I'm saying the policies that I'm seeing them pass ain't helping nobody but the ultra rich. That's who their policies are intended to help, businesses. Because they have the theses that businesses or rich people create the wealth. And meanwhile, in between while, they leaving everybody else at the bottom. Hundreds of millions of Americans. That's their policies. That's their strategies. That's how they govern. That ain't no hate on one Republican. That's just facts. That's their policy. That's their strategy. That's how they govern. That's just factual. Stole your money telling you to go back. That's what they try to do. That's what Republicans try to do. I promise you that's what they try to do. I ain't stealing nothing from me, though. I'm suing every last one of them. I sue Democrats, too, though. I don't care. I'm indiscriminate. You see what I'm saying? The U.S. law isn't about a Republican or a Democrat. It's about a corrupt person or a right person. It's about police departments who don't know what they're doing or who aren't properly trained, or it's about mayors in cities and counties not using resources that are there for them to use because they're trying to save money and they're injuring disabled people in their communities. That's what it's about. Point blank and the period. Mandami is the man. We already know that. Mandami got a 70% approval in the city of New York. I guarantee you New York probably only like 80% Democrats. So really 7 out of 8 Democrats in New York, or 7 out of 8 people, and I don't care what you are, if you got 7 out of 8 people approving of what you're doing a really good job. But he probably, if he don't have 7 out, he might have 6 out of 8 Democrats, and he might have 1 out of 2% of them Republicans, or 1 out of 2 Republicans. You see what I'm saying? And if you have them, and I'm saying if they approve of what you're doing, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying the mayor has a strong approval rating. The people are the boss. So you can't hate on the mayor because his approval rating is strong with the people. He helping the people. He for the people. The Democrats saying they for the people. The Republicans, by their own mouth, for their own admission, says that we help businesses and rich people because wealth trickles down. The Democrats don't believe in that. And you cannot lie. You cannot talk about passing out money. Ain't none of that flying. It's a blue wave. It's taking over. The Democrats get in the House, they get in the Senate, and they get in the majority of the governor's mansion. Now, next Republican that come in and think you gonna take us to war when we ain't trying to go to war. The Democrats gonna win in Kansas, they gonna win in Iowa, they gonna win in Texas, they gonna win in Ohio, they gonna win in Maine. Start listening to the American people. You wanna do your own thing. President Trump don't wanna listen to nobody. If you don't listen to nobody, you gonna hear us in November. Loud and clear. You gonna hear us in November, loud and clear. That's all 50 states. Ain't no Republican nowhere in this union is safe. Not one. Nowhere in no district is no Republican safe. Governor Abbott is beating the upstart Democrat. We talking about a 3-term governor in the largest growing economy in the United States. One of the largest growing economies in the entire world, the state of Texas, a 3-term governor is about to lose to an upstart Democrat. Yeah, a state President Trump won by 14 points, ruby red Texas. It's about to happen. You don't want to listen to the American people. That's what it is. I tell them all the time, it don't make no sense to me. Listen, a dude who said he was a Christian said it's okay to lie to trick the devil. And I'm trying to figure that out. Okay, so you trying to tell me it's okay to tell a lie in certain situations. How does that make sense? If you a Christian, you believe in God. If God is greater than the devil, then that means truth is greater than a lie. Do you understand that? If you're a Christian, you believe in God, and God is greater than the devil, then the truth is greater than the lie. If the truth is greater than the lie, why would I even ever need to tell a lie? The truth is greater. You just can't see and understand it, but the truth is greater. Hey, Queen says vote teller. I can't see, listen, how could you vote for Ken Paxton? You got a Republican who cheated on his wife and was arrested for corruption-related charges against a Democrat in the state Senate who don't have no kind of record. He's 39 years old and he a preacher. Tellerico a preacher that ain't nobody saying nothing negative about. Same thing that happened in Georgia. Georgia got a black senator who's a preacher. Same thing. But Tellerico white. It worked in Texas. It's gonna work. He's gonna win. Hey, look, I'm gonna have to time you out though. You can't hate on Jasmine. Whether she won or not, you can't hate on Jasmine. Tellerico ain't Jasmine. That's number one. But I'm not hating on Jasmine, but what I'm trying to tell you is it's a different situation. Jasmine would have beat Ken Paxton. The Democrats outvoted the Republicans in the primary. That never happens. And I knew it was going to happen. Listen to me. For you slow people, in Texas, in the primary, the Democrats outvoted the Republicans. Go back and look at my live stream. That never happens. I predicted it. Can you see that? I didn't hear no one else say that. I came out and said that over 1.8 million Democrats were gonna vote. They looked at me like I was stupid. Ain't no way in the world they gonna outvote the Republicans. I said it before it happened. You understand that? So I'm telling you that they outvoted you in the primary and they gonna outvote you in the general election. All you gotta do is make sure that those voters who were plugged into Jasmine, who never go and vote, that they plug into James. How you do that? He got a whole lot of money, hire her as a surrogate. It's over with. What we talking about? Who gonna argue politics with me? First of all, who gonna argue with me? And you ain't arguing the politics or the law with me unless you wanna lose. That's what that is. Nah, Moolah would have beat Paxton. That's me. I think she would have beat Paxton. That's what I think. I think she would have beat Paxton. Why she wouldn't? It's the same. Tellerico got the same coalition that's gonna vote for him that Jasmine did. It's the same coalition. I think she would have beat him. That's my opinion. Democrats vote in the Republican primary. What's that mean? They did. That don't mean nothing. The Democrats, for the first time, the Democrats will vote in the Republican primary every single year. And for some reason, in 2026, they outvote the Republicans for the first time. You do the math. Listen, I wasn't doing a live stream. I started the live stream in 2024 in September, supporting VP Harris for president. I told you that. I just want to appeal in the U.S. Court of Appeals. I felt like I had a story to tell. I told you that. That's what that is. When people talk about the errors that were made, all you got to do is talk about an issue. So if you talk about an issue, Joe Biden let too many poor people into this country. I don't care if they're coming from Mexico. I don't care if they're coming from Haiti. I don't care if they're coming from Jamaica. I don't care if they're coming from Venezuela. It was too many poor people that Joe Biden let into our country. Period. Too many. If I was covering politics during that time, then I would be saying it then. Just like Governor Hochul was on the phone and she was calling Joe Biden and them saying, hey, y'all, we got too many people, y'all letting too many poor people in. You see what I'm saying? Just like Mayor Adams was on the phone and he was calling President Biden saying, hey, listen, you can't, we don't have enough resources, or we do have enough resources, but we have a problem allocating all the resources to the poor people right now. So I'm saying you can't just let 20 million poor. They flooded the system. They took away programs they have for poor people. So it hurt Democrats too, letting that many illegals in at one time. Who didn't say that? Bill Clinton said that. Barack Obama said that. What Democrat ain't say that? What are we talking about? That's that Scooby-Dooby-Doo energy. Hey, that's 2 hours, y'all. We finna wrap it up. Y'all already know what time it is. If y'all want to keep going, keep streaming, my boy Brian C. I don't see him in here. Y'all donate to the channel. If y'all want me to stream tomorrow, anybody want me to stream tomorrow, I might do it for y'all. I have a lot of content to go over. Y'all just let me know y'all want me to stream tomorrow. We can stream tomorrow. Hey, David, y'all got to stop. Y'all got to cut that out, though, now. This Save America Act don't have a chance of winning. And you know why it don't have a chance of winning? Because John Cronin, President Trump, he booting these people out. He booted out, what's your boy name in Louisiana? Bill Cassidy. He booting out. He going against Thomas Massey. Listen, the Democrats could get a bill passed before the Republicans can in Congress. And it's President Trump's fault. President Trump got 10 or 11 Congress people he went against that's sitting in Congress right now. The Republicans, they gonna vote with the Democrats. He got 3, 4, 5 senators they gonna vote with the Democrats. The Save America Act is dead on arrival. Christmas, you ain't gotta worry about it. He can't get it passed. I appreciate it, folk gifted hands. I love America, man. You know what I'm saying? If we love America, we gonna keep fighting for our country. This is our country. You gotta understand that this is our country. This is our sailors. Those are our sailors. Those are our Marines. Those are our aircraft carriers. They were paid for by our tax dollars. Our. This is our nation. Our. What can I say? From the New York Island to the shiny coast of California, from Seattle, Washington, down to Key West, Florida. This is our land. This is our nation. What I'm gonna be quiet about? Yeah, 48% of America, they chose him to be president, and he not listening to our voices. We got a problem with that. So if the Democrats impeach him over the Iran war, this time which Americans gonna be complaining? Where the Americans that gonna be complaining if they impeach you over a war? They just gotta impeach you over the right thing. If they impeach you saying you like a Russian spy, you know what I'm saying? It was people who had improper relations, I would say, with Russia at the time, like Paul Manafort, who did go to jail. I'm not saying the whole story was a conspiracy theory, but you telling us that President Trump is a Russian spy, we not gonna get behind you with that. What they impeached him for the second time, we not. But if you impeach him for something we care about, if our gas prices is $6 an hour and you impeaching him over a war that he not only mismanaging, but he's gonna affect America's future with this war, allowing a terrorist regime to control an international waterway while we have our sailors and Marines that are jumping overboard. Man, nah, I'm not going with that. How can you go with that? How can I, for gifted hands or Christmas, go with this when I come on this live stream and I say President Trump need to call Hakeem? And instead of calling Hakeem, you gonna declare war on democratic cities. Well, what can I'm saying, listen, I'm coming into a place where you telling me that they already hate me. Okay? Listen, he got beef with these people. He won't smoke with them. He won't smoke with President Obama. He felt like President Obama did A, B, C, and D to him. He won't smoke with Nancy Pelosi. He won't smoke with these people. I'm a strategist. I don't care nothing about that. Listen, you said you wanted to be legendary. This how you be legendary. You pick up the phone, you in the shark-infested waters. He putting blood on himself. He putting blood on himself, then jumping in shark-infested waters. You know you can't maintain power forever. Maybe he thought that the Republicans, he could keep the Republicans in power forever. Maybe that's what you thinking. But the Democrats gonna get power. I got common sense. Common sense ain't that common. Eventually, the Democrats are gonna get power again. When they get power again, I seen what they did to you in 2019 and 2020. I seen what happened in 2024, that bullet whizzing by your ear. So when Democrats get power again, which I got common sense, I seen Al Green 3 months after President Trump being elected on the House floor with, he got a PowerPoint, well, how he gonna get you impeached. They already planning for it. I already know what's coming down the pipeline. The same thing they did against you, but worse this time. Because usually when you fight an opponent and you ran a play that beat them, they going to be ready for that play that beat them. So President Trump ran some plays that beat the Democrats. They ready for them plays that beat them. They ready for them plays. Them plays ain't going to work this time. They coming at you with a vigor you ain't seen before. I understand that. I understand you in short, infested waters. What we gonna tell you in this situation is try to diffuse it. President Trump wasn't trying to diffuse nothing. He wasn't trying to bring no Democrats to the White House like he did the last term. This term, he wanted to declare war on them. How can I go with that? I can't go with that. I know what the end of that for him is, politically. I know what the end of that for him is politically. How can I support that? I know what that end is. It ain't nothing against him personal. His first 3 months in, I was directing strategy at the White House. His first 6 months in, I'm directing analysis at the White. But I'm saying, like, at this point, we just doing news because he ain't listening to nothing you saying anyway. All the people on your team telling you not to go to war with Iran. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Tucker Carlson, all the people who got political futures in the Republican Party telling you not to go to war with Iran. Yo, National Intelligence Advisor, Tulsi Gabbard, he ain't listening to none of them. How are you gonna listen to me? Well, if he ain't gonna listen to me, why I'm gonna be trying to give advice on what to do? He ain't listening to it. We stay ready for war. Who ain't you talking about? The United States of America? Who needs to be ready for war? You ain't talking about me. Because I know you ain't talking about me and my personal life and career ready for war. I got the guns already loaded. I stay ready. I got the guns loaded to shoot instantly at anybody who come for me. Hey, ma'am, I love your shirt. If you guys have not liked the video, y'all like the video, raise back. What's up, Ray? Everybody in the live stream, y'all like raise donation. That's what we were talking about, donate to the channel. That's what we need here on Legal Wars Live. Ray, I appreciate that donation. Y'all keep donating like this, man. I thought I wasn't gonna be live streaming that much, but I guess we gonna go live tomorrow. Who in the live stream want us to go live tomorrow? If y'all want to go live tomorrow, y'all put a Y down below in the live stream right now. Or say yes. Put a Y in the live stream or say yes. I need 10 different Ys or 10 different yeses down below in the live stream right now, and we'll go live tomorrow. 4 gifted hands, we got 1. We need 9 more yeses or Ys. Chrism, yes. Frank says yes. That's 3, y'all. We need 7 more. 7 more yeses, y'all, and we go live tomorrow. 7 more. Where y'all at? Can I get 7 more yeses? There it goes. Ralph Noel says yes. Raise Back says yes. Raise Back, I'm going to go ahead and make you a moderator. So whenever you come in the live stream, I hope you come back tomorrow, my brother. You come in the live stream, you could go ahead and be part of the team. I appreciate the donation. David says yes. Robert says yes. How many yeses is that, y'all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We need 2 more yeses. 2 more yeses, and we going live tomorrow. We gonna have a good live stream, some great content, piggybacking on what we went over today. Can we get 2 more yeses, 2 more Ys or yeses in the live streams? Good morning, Sonic. Good morning, good morning. We need 2 more. 2 more yeses. Life of Bluegrass. There it goes. 1 more yes or 1 more Y, and we will be live tomorrow. Oh, hold on. I do got some change. Hold on. I think I got some. I had some this morning. I don't have no cash though, but it's about $1 and change. That's all I got. I'm sorry. You're welcome. I'm sorry. You got it? Sorry about that. You're welcome. You're welcome. We got how many? So let's check it. We need one more wire, one more yes down there, y'all. Give me one more. Give me one more. Give me one more. Life of Bluegrass, you can't vote twice. Life of Bluegrass, you can't vote twice. Oh man, what Moolah said. Moolah, you want to go live tomorrow, Moolah? I need you to put a yes down. So Sonic says yes. That's it, y'all. We live tomorrow at 7 a.m. Eastern. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that donation. Who that is? Donation from Ray. Ray's back. Appreciate that donation. Due to that donation, I put the question out there. I'll let my viewers decide. They said they want us to go live. I got 10 of y'all said yes, so we going live tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern. That's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, strategizing with Ghostwriter. On Thursday, y'all, we got interviews with Ghostwriter. It's the second episode. We got the Black Hebrew Israelites. They're going to be doing an interview with us on Thursday, okay? Then on Friday, and we back to strategizing with Ghostwriter. And then on Saturday, we're going to be doing Guilty or Innocent. How many of y'all like that? Guilty or Innocent. That's episode number 6. And we're going to be talking about the mystery murder of Nancy Guthrie. If you guys have not liked the video, y'all go ahead and double tap the screen for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure y'all hit that notification bell. Forget the hand, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern. Yes, indeed. Yes, in freaking indeed. Hey, Bluegrass hater friends, I think they are a hater. Look, this is what I'm going to do. All y'all who showed me love today, I'm going to go ahead and show y'all love. I already got Ray. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add you as a moderator. And listen, who else in here that says they don't agree with me? Is that Moolah? I like Moolah. I like a lot of comments. I'm gonna add you as a moderator too. Y'all listen, this is what we do this for. We do this to let our voices be heard. Because my voice, solidarity or singularity is immaterial. But the voices of the collective majority, it's about the majority. I think the main problem that politicians have had in 250 years of American history is that they govern for a small group of Americans. Whether it's over money or whatever is concerned, majority of the time it's about money. We call it special interests. They govern for the special interests. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem that we have. Listen, I'm saying that politicians need to govern for the majority. Whatever the majority is, that's what the politicians need to govern for. If the majority is the poor, that's who you govern for. That's who we the people is. That part about the majority is what we forget about. It's the majority. But you got to remember, it's the majority that's helping you win the election. It's the majority. You're not winning without the majority. President Trump, to be fair, he's never had the majority of the voters, of the popular vote. But he's got the majority of the electoral college 2 out of 3 elections. It's about the majority. Are you pleasing the majority of the voters? Are your policies geared to help the majority of the voters? I believe that's the fundamental flaw with the Republican Party. I think that is why they have only won one election since 2004. One election with the American people. The majority of the voters have only voted for the Republican Party one time in 20 years. Since 2005. The majority of the American people, the majority of the Republican Party has only voted in 2024 for the Republican Party one time. That's because their policies are generated to help a small group of people under the guise of it'll trickle down. We're going to help the rich, the few rich people in America because it'll trickle down, or because they create the wealth. And I'm saying the Republican Party and it's been corruption after corruption after corruption. Their politics is geared for corruption. We're going to help the rich people because they generate the wealth. But what you don't realize is that's a hotbed for corruption. The corruption lies or corruption exists amongst the rich. It's like a bacteria. You know, a bacteria needs certain conditions to live. Well, corruption needs money or rich people to live. Everybody on the Epstein list is rich. If you go in a room full of poor people, you won't get no corruption. Corruption has to exist like bacteria under certain conditions, and a rich person is one of those main conditions. So what I'm trying to tell you, if you're a Republican and your whole thesis is that we're going to help the rich because they create the wealth, well, that's a breeding ground of corruption because corruption is with the rich. Does that make sense? I don't understand the Republicans. They have to change. I think there'll be a third party that comes in American politics, and in order for the Republicans to survive, they're going to have to change all of that stuff. Those are old policies. That stuff don't work no more. The Reagan tax cuts might have worked. Under Bill Clinton, we changed everything. And all that stuff that y'all used to do under Ronald Reagan didn't work. The Reagan tax cuts worked because he came up with the child tax credit that, in my opinion, was the biggest redistribution. If you talk about over the years, you have to look at Social Security and TANF, food stamp, stuff like that to get a redistribution. Because think about the millions of women who file for child tax credits every single year. And Ronald Reagan hadn't been president since how long? The millions of women. Hey, listen, I feel like listen, President Trump recognized that we had a debt, so he wanted to do something about the debt. Doge was what you did about the debt. Well, unfortunately, he ended up spending more money than any president in U.S. history in 2025, unfortunately. NYPD, y'all. FaceTime. Largest police department in America, one of the largest, if not the largest in the world. Shout out NYPD, y'all. If you guys have not liked the video, y'all double tap the screen for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all hit that notification bell. Somebody said Unc rambling. Nah, that ain't no ramble. That was straight facts and stats and data. Strategy and analysis. They're from the predictor in chief. You feel me? That's why Republicans are taking the country back. No, they not. You not taking the country back. You might have took the country back, but you finna lose what you took. Republicans were taking the country back, Bernard, but you about to lose what you took. That's the discussion we having. You did take the country back. Republicans did take the country back, but they about to lose it again. Let's be real. What race the Republicans gonna lose in the purple states? El Saheed is the only Democrat that I see that could lose. All the rest of them, in Maine, the Democrat gonna win. In Ohio, the Democrat gonna win. In Texas, North Carolina, I already predicted North Carolina and Texas. It's over. That's blue. That's all blue stuff. We talking about blue things. And Georgia finna get a blue governor. We talking about blue things. It's all blue. You paint the country blue. You painted it red, it's going back. Pat President Trump on the back. When he was governing, he wasn't considering, look, he was governing, President Trump governing thinking that I don't have to run for election again. That's correct. He's not governing thinking that Greg Abbott do. He's not governing thinking that, the best thing Byron Donald could have did was not have President Trump pick him as a vice president. Because he gonna go on and get a very good job in Florida for 8 years. And if he does well, I'm saying he could be the first black Republican first black Republican president of America. That wouldn't happen for you, Byron Donald, if you was J.D. Vance. I promise you. J.D. might still have a political future after being President Trump's vice president. I don't think in 2028 well how things going, but he might, depending on how things end. But what I'm saying is, Byron Donald, you as a black man, I'm sorry to say, would not have no political future in these United States if you was vice president of America after what we've seen from President Trump so far. If that's called rambling, I'm just giving you different stats, data, and facts, what I believe. President Trump's the only reason we still in the ball game. No president finna get us out the ball game. That's all I can see happen. Look, I'm saying if you go to Iran, and at the end of you being in Iran, if the mullah regime is controlling the strait, then I would have to say that President Trump has diminished our power. There's no way that you cannot say that. That's factual. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. If you saying that, if President Trump goes to Iran, and if at the end of this situation, if it's not back, at least back to where it was before, then he diminished American power, and he has risen, or he has, the Iranians have risen in stature and power. Our goal and our real objective, because we know they didn't have no nuclear material or no nuclear weapon to hit America. So our real goal and our real objective was to diminish their power. We were supposed to try to contain them, stop them from showing aggression, because they have become the strongest power in the Middle East. They the largest nation over there almost, Turkey. But I'm saying they strong. We diminished 80% of their missile capability, this capability. We ain't diminished nothing. That's what I'm saying. Ain't none of that got diminished. That's what I'm saying. What's going to end up happening in the end, Iran's going to get a whole bunch of money. Iran's going to get twice, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times the money President Obama gave. We see how much power they got from what President... Listen, Russia is the largest land country in the world. Putin didn't get the power. It don't seem like. Maybe he's more stronger than the Iranians. But what I'm saying is Iranian is rising. Russia has always been up there with America's number 2 or number 1 in the world, USSR. But I'm saying Russia's falling and the Iranians are rising. So that means Ukraine, Europe, and President Biden, they did the right job. In Russia, America can get the credit for Russia falling, because America invested $350 million into Iran the first 4 years under Biden to make sure they fall. And then President Trump made the Europeans take over because he wanted to go get into other stuff. So if you want to go attack Iran, if y'all feel like we need to do that with the mullah regime, I can't change your opinion. I can't argue. Listen, as a strategist, I'm a different type of strategist. I told y'all I'm an independent. So you could come with, listen to this is so important, I'm not rambling. You could come at me with a Republican strategy and a Democratic strategy. You could come at me with different ways of doing the same thing, and I'll still be able to do what you're trying to do. But you got to do it correctly, and you got to do it accurately. That's what I'm saying. I could still do what you're trying to do. You could come from different perspectives. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But what I'm trying to say is, if you want to attack the mullah regime, that's fine. But at the end of the war, the Iranians cannot control that strait. They really don't need to have nuclear material, because President Trump, he got the nuclear, President Obama, he got that nuclear material out. It don't look like President Trump gonna get the nuclear material out. So I'm saying he ain't getting the nuclear material out. That's why he said he going to war. Iran's gonna continue to control the strait past his presidency. So that's what I'm saying. Regardless of what strategy you use, the way he did it was failed. It was the wrong strategy, and it was completely against the wishes, say it with me, the majority of the American people, not the 30% of America that watch Fox News. Listen, we hit that Fox News, that's your wheelhouse. That's only 30%. The rest of Americans, 68%, largely, they are not in favor of this war. So how is he not wrong? You going against the will of the majority. We the people. Not we the rich people. Not we the Fox News. Not we the MAGA. Not we the Republican Party. We the people. That's red states, that's blue states, and that's purple states. That's every state. He's not governing within the will of the people. He's governing within the will of the Republican Party. And that has hurt his own party. It killed him. It's got Governor Abbott in the state of Texas only winning by a point over an upstart. And I'm not hating on Gina Hinojosa. We not hating on you, Gina Hinojosa. Baby girl. Who hating on Gina Hinojosa? We not hating on her. She finna become the next governor of the state of Texas, 52 years old, state representative. And we not hating on her at all. A gorgeous woman, man. She tall, but she pretty though. If y'all haven't liked the video, y'all double tap the screen for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all hit that notification bell. Someone says, give me one thing that godly the Democrats stand for. Everything is devilish. Abortion, LGBTQ, over sexualizing children. Listen, you can't say the Democrats over. How you gonna say the Democrats? You better not say the Democrats over sexualizing children. I don't want to hear that. Do not say nothing about no Democrats and no children. Do not go there. You gonna have to say that after 2028. Do not say nothing about no Democrats, no sexualizing, and no children. You gotta say that over after 2028. Because you know the first thing they gonna do when they argue against you, they gonna slap you in the mouth about a Republican president who is on a pedophile list, and they gonna shut you up and shut you down. So don't say nothing about Democrats over sexualizing children. You talk about abortion. I don't support abortion. But I'm clear about my non-support for abortion. I'm clear about my non-support for two men getting married. I'm clear about my non-support for transgenders. But guess who's gonna make them decisions? It's not gonna be a Democratic president. It's not going to be a Democratic senator, or it's not going to be a Democratic congressperson who makes the decision on whether or not transgenders or two men get married or abortion get passed. You know who make that decision? 10 out of 10 times, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is going to decide if abortion is legal. In the end, you got to know how politics work. What's going to happen is when the Democrats take over and they get the votes, they're going to make abortion illegal again in America. That's going to happen. And you know what's going to happen is somebody is going to have a problem with abortion, and they're going to take it to the Supreme Court. And you know who's going to rule on the legality of abortion in the United States? The Supreme Court. You know who's going to rule on the legality of two men getting married in America? The Supreme Court. So you can't come to me as a Christian and say don't vote for this dude because he support two men getting married, because I'm looking at Mayor Mondami and he married to a woman. So regardless of what his politics is, I know he think like me and he attracted to women. You understand that? And number two is, I know that he cannot pass a law that's going to stand, that's going to allow two men to get married, because one of these states going to have a case that they're going to take it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is the one deciding that. So you need to be considering your Supreme Court justices. It's who your Supreme Court justices are. That's who going to decide if two men could get married. who your Supreme Court justices are. That's who gonna decide. That's why the Democrats want to expand the court, because the Republicans got control of the court, and those are lifetime appointments. So for a very long time, that Republican court could shoot down abortion, transgender, and gay rights. That's who controlling it. It's the court. The court making the decision, Moolah. It's not no politicians. You hadn't heard of Roe v. Wade? Who in this live stream hadn't heard of Roe v. Wade? Who keep upholding and overturning Roe v. Wade? It's a court case. It's the third branch of government. You understand that? Listen, some of y'all don't understand government. We got three branches. You got the Congress, which consists of the House of Representatives and the Senate. They make laws, okay? They send that up to the president, who signed it, the bill into law. They make bills, they send it to the president, he signed that bill becomes a law. You understand that? The executive branch, so you understand what Congress does. President Trump, the executive branch, he is the chief enforcer of the law. That's his job. He's supposed to enforce the laws that he signed. He's supposed to enforce the laws that Congress sent to him. You know what the court's job is? The court's job is to interpret those laws. So the court has the final say on everything that happens in America, in the checks and balances. You have Congress who writes the bills and the laws. They send it up to President Trump. President Trump, if he sign it, he's a check on that law that Congress made. And the final check or balance on that law is the court. And the court has the most power in America. Y'all don't know that. Y'all don't see that. Y'all don't realize that domestically, on foreign issues, on foreign policy, on anything foreign, President Trump is number one. On most things foreign. You see what I'm saying? Like the tariffs, they check President Trump on the tariffs because it involves American businesses. You know what I'm saying? But most things that happen overseas or foreign, President Trump is the final authority on that. He's the authority on the things that happen overseas. President Trump be the authority. But as far as domestically, the things that happen domestically, the court has the power, because it has to happen. Look, it has to be by law. It has to become a law. And the court's going to be the ones who interpret whether or not. So the court has the final authority. Y'all just don't realize that. So on gay marriage or anything of major controversy, what happened? We gonna sue the Trump administration. Who gonna make the decision? The court. The politicians ain't gonna want to be the ones to decide. The politicians will decide economic issues. Yeah. The politicians gonna decide whether you cut taxes or raise taxes. That's something the courts ain't got nothing to do with. The politicians gonna decide food stamps, those kind of issues. So that's why it's important for you to recognize who you voting for, because it's some things the court don't decide. But gay marriage, transgenders, anything like that, abortion, the court is gonna be the final say on that, because they're the last ones to interpret the law. So when you vote for this girl who says she support abortion, she ain't gonna enact any laws to help her hurt you. How many laws President Trump has enacted against transgenders? He could sign whatever executive order he wants to. It's gonna go to where? Say it with me, y'all, one time. The court, and get challenged. The executive order is not a law. The first thing that the next president do when he come in, every executive order, when AOC become president in 2029, every executive order President Trump got, she gonna rewrite them. She gonna throw all his executive and rewrite news. Just like he did to Joe Biden. That ain't, the laws, you need Congress for a real law that's gonna stand. You need the president for a real law that's going to stand, and then it's going to go to the courts to get interpreted. So what I'm saying is, it don't matter what Congress writes, what the president signs, the court going to make the decision. on those kind of things, on social issues. See, I'm breaking this down for y'all in a way I never heard no one break it down for me. On social issues, and I understand government. That's why I'm good at being a paralegal. And social issues, the court is going to decide most social issues in America. The court's not going to decide on the tax cut. The court's not going to usually decide. No, those are politics that they don't get in. I understand the law. I understand our wheelhouse. But when you talk about abortion, that's something we gonna get it. Look, don't understand me. The tax, the big beautiful bill, that's a law too. Don't get it twisted. That's a law just like any other law. That's just something the court, we usually don't delve into stuff like that. We don't want to get into the abortion issues either. But if we have to, we will. That's what we do. So most of the financial issues are the things that can't get checked by the court. Those are the things that's going to stink. The social issues, the court's going to check it. So those things might not stink. You know what I'm saying? That's why I favor a Democrat in financial issues. Plus they believe in what I believe in, financial. You know what I'm saying? That's 2 hours and 39 minutes. The donation, man. Y'all thank my boy with the donations. Raised Back says, after saying no more forever wars, if he escalate with boots on the ground. He might not do boots on the ground, but we can be in this situation throughout his presidency. I don't know if President Trump would put boots on the ground. I believe if Lindsey Graham would have stayed alive under the right circumstances, I think we'll have boots on Carg Island right now. Rest in peace, Lindsey Graham. I think President Trump has seen what Benjamin Netanyahu, the error of his ways, due to that situation. Iran will have to antagonize him to a level of great extent for him to put boots on the ground. I just don't see that coming. I might be wrong, I just don't recognize that coming. But what I'm going to say is, yeah, and still, it's still a forever war. Boots on the ground or not, to me, it's still a forever war. Boots on the ground or not. Electoral college, yes, indeed. Look, I'm going to just tell y'all, I support Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I like VP Harris too. Like I said, I'm not Nancy Pelosi. I'll let the voters decide before I take a side. But I like AOC. I support her. Real talk, I like VP Harris too. Like I said, one of them need to hire me. Point blank period. And I'll be woman president, the first female president. I never put my resume in with AOC before. Of course, she never ran for president. I never put my resume in with VP Harris. Never. I'm going to put resumes in this time. In 2028, I'm putting resumes in. I need to get on one of them campaigns. They need me. Y'all need me. They know they need me. The Democrats know they need me. They already said we need them. Republicans said it too. Republicans just didn't embrace me due to certain circumstances. President Trump could have. You know what I'm saying? He didn't. So they embraced the people they chose to embrace, and that's why he got the problems he got right now. Mullah says, last administration has allowed drag queens in kids' class. I'm not for none of that. Here's the thing, Mullah. When I help you get elected, when you do that, I'm going to come on this live stream and I'm going to talk about you. Just like Tucker did with President Trump, and he did stuff he didn't agree with. He came on his live stream and he talked, or he was uploading videos, still is, where he talking about President Trump. This is where we split hairs, partner. This is where we split hairs, Madam President. I don't agree with you on that right there. Drag queens, kids, none of that stuff. So that's where we gonna split hairs, Moo. Whenever they start doing stuff that we don't agree with. That being said, y'all, that's 2 hours and 42 minutes. That's 2 hours and 45 minutes. We're not going to reach 3 hours like we did last time. But I'm saying I'm coming on live again tomorrow morning when we didn't have it playing. I'll put the thumbnail up just right when I finish this live stream. 7 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. We live again, man. You know what I'm saying? We running the whole strip, so I'm going to give y'all Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. Wednesday's my day off. Like I said, Thursdays, we got the Black Hebrew Israelites, doing an interview with them on Thursday, interviews with ghostwriters. That's only the second episode. On Friday, once again, we're going to do normal live stream, strategizing with ghostwriter. And on Saturday, we got Guilty or Innocent, episode number 6. Y'all, that's my time from the beautiful West Side. The beautiful West Side. Beautiful. I gotta do that, y'all. I never knew that. I just looked at this sign when I was over here, and they got 50 cent Wing Wednesdays. That sounds like some stuff we do down south. I don't know who own this restaurant, but they might be from down south. Or I'm sorry, this is Chicago Grill. They from Chicago. Hey, I wish I had my boy in the live stream. Where's Chicago at? He always giving love to Chicago. Well, I'm gonna show love to this restaurant right here, right now. This for free. You see what I'm saying? Because I know that I'm gonna like this food. I could just tell. Y'all, I just want to show love one time to the city of New York, the greatest city in the world. The Empire State. I'm in the Empire State with the Empire State of mind. In the great city of New York, on the Upper West Side, on the island of Manhattan, man. You know what I'm saying? We've been out here, man. This is 3 months now. We've been out here. It's finna be September. Been in the state of New York for a year, man, and I see myself being here throughout the end of this year, at least, depending on how things go. I have to say, I'm sorry, y'all, I apologize. I have to say that I enjoyed my time in this state. I have to say, since I came to the state, it's been everything I expected and more. You know what I'm saying? Despite, you know, some complications I had with, you know, some things, you know, just doing things to get it straight. That could happen to anybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure AOC, during her time of living in the state, she had some things that she wasn't happy with happened in the state, and she had to get it right, and it's her home state. I know in Mississippi, there's millions of things that I wanted to get right in the state. Part of the reason why I'm not there right now. You know what I'm saying? That being said, excuse me, y'all, that being said, man, like, you know, we thankful, man, or I'm thankful, man, and I'm grateful for the things that I've been through, man. It's a learning lesson. It's a learning experience. To think that me, on being a disabled veteran, on a supplemental income, could just look at the map and say, hey, I'm going to go to New York City, a place where rent in Manhattan, of all places. You know what I'm saying? I stayed in Queens when I first got here, but a place where the rent, you know what I'm talking about, is twice as much as what I get in my supplemental income every month. But to go to a neighborhood like this and to be able to stay here, man, rent-free, that has been an amazing blessing for me. I really consider that as a blessing. In the meantime, in the between time, man, doing what I love, litigating cases, man, the biggest cases of my life, biggest settlement offers on the or the biggest settlement amounts, demands on the table. $40,000 case that I'm getting paid for a client in Mississippi that I just ghost wrote a 12-page document, and I'm gonna get paid $40,000 for it. A lawyer has the case. Man, just looking at the whole picture and what's coming from me, man, I have to say, man, that 2025 was one of the most, if not the most eventful years of my life. I traveled to 22 states. Going from Texas, where I stayed for 2 years in Houston, ended up here in New York City, where I've been in New York for a year, man. I say that's been a very eventful year. And that being said, man, like, I enjoyed my stay, man, like, you know, or enjoying my stay, I would say, because I'm not saying that I'm finna leave or will leave anytime soon. I don't know when I'll leave. I don't know if I'll ever leave. I'm saying I enjoying my stay, man. You know what I'm saying? Just dealing with the things legally that I deal with, regardless of where I would be. You know what I'm saying? And I would just definitely have to say that New York City is definitely a place that I would recommend for anybody to come. It's the safest big city in America. Me being from a rural community or a small town, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be here and that I would be staying in this community for 3 months, nor could I afford it, but I am. And I'm here, and I'm thankful for it, and I thank God. And I wake up every day and I say, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Christ is King. That being said, guys, like I said, we were supposed to not be live tomorrow, but we will be live tomorrow at 7 a.m. Eastern Time right here, Legal Wars Live. I appreciate all of your love. I appreciate all of your support. I'll see you guys in the morning, man. And thank y'all for showing up and participating. Big Ghost Rider, y'all. I'm out.